Republic of Indonesia, Dr. K. Haji Zainud Tauhid Saadi. To the Honorable Business Chairman, Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA, CA. To the Honorable Commissioners of Business, Republic of Indonesia. To the Honorable Java, Randa Haji Khofifa Indra Parawansa, MSI. To the Honorable Director of General Islamic Community Directorate Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Haji Kamarudin Amin, MA. To the Honorable Rector of Erlangga University, Surabaya, Professor Dr. Muhammad Nasih SAMT AK CMA. To the Honorable Rector of the Trisakti University, Jakarta, Professor Dr. Ali Gufran Mukti MSc PhD. To the Honorable Director of Zakat and Wakaf Department, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi Tohor MA. To the Honorable Director of Basnas Center of Strategic Studies, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal. And to all the distinguished speakers and invited guests and respected audience of the 4th ICONZ. Welcome to the 4th Annual International Conference of Zakat 2020. Greetings from Jakarta. Alhamdulillah, praises to Allah, for He has blessed us with health during these troubled times and has granted us the opportunity to gather here again today for this event. Even with the current situation of the pandemic, mashallah, we're all still very enthusiastic and eager to hold and attend this event today. Brothers and sisters, there is a famous saying in Indonesia which goes, "Tak kenal, maka tak sayang," which translates to, without introduction, there will be a lack of understanding. Therefore, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Arwa Filaditya Rarasokta, and I will be serving as the Master of Ceremony throughout this event. I imagine that many of you have heard or may have previously attended previous ICONs before. However, this may also be the first time attending ICONs for many others too. The International Conference of Zakat is an annual event held by Puskas Basnas, Unair University, Trisakti University, and the Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, which creates a forum for experts and enthusiasts to gather and share ideas regarding current matters of zakat. The technological development in the financial industry has been significant to Indonesia's social finance sector, for example, within zakat institutions. The recent debates among academics, industry professionals, and other related zakat stakeholders have addressed the notion of zakat and technology. This pandemic has been creating significant challenges for zakat administration worldwide. Such challenges demand the role of zakat in facing COVID-19 consequences. The topic of zakat, technology, and COVID-19 has thus become a new arena among the experts for discussion. The term ZakaTech is thus introduced in the 4th International Conference of Zakat. ZakaTech refers to the use of technology in the management of zakat institutions. The digital transformation in critical aspects of zakat institution management is predicted to realize the contribution of zakat to inclusive development, notably in the unprecedented time of COVID-19. Therefore, the 4th ICONZ aims to address the challenges faced by zakat institutions from both technical and fundamental aspects related to the practice of zakat management in this so-called digital era, during COVID-19 outbreak and in the new normal period of COVID-19. Now, before we start the event, I would like to read the agenda for today. First, we will start with a welcoming to the participants to Zoom. Then, we will have an opening which will be led by the MC. Then, we will listen to the Indonesian national anthem, which then will be followed by a Quranic recitation. After listening to the Quranic recitation, we will have several opening speeches from the Director of Zakat and Wakaf Department, General Islamic Community Directorate of the Ministry of Religious Affairs of Republic of Indonesia, which then will be followed by an opening speech from the Director of BUZNA's Center of Strategic Studies. This will then be followed by the agenda of a welcoming speech. The welcoming speeches will be from 4 speakers, the first one from the Governor of East Java. The second one will be from the Rector of Airlangga University Surabaya. The third one will be from the Rector of Trisakti University from Jakarta. And the last one will be from the Director of General Islamic Community Directorate, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. Then after the welcoming speeches, we will have the next agenda, which is the keynote speeches. The keynote speeches will first be from the BUZNA's chairman, and then will be followed by the Vice Minister of Religious Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia. After the keynote speeches, we will go to the agenda of the plenary session 1, under the topic of the role of Islamic social finance in promoting inclusive development in times of new normal COVID-19, which will be moderated by Dr. Eleonora Sofilda from Trisakti University. After the plenary session, we will go to the break, and then we will have the parallel session in 4 different Zoom rooms. So now that we have finished reading the agenda for today, let us start the event by listening to the Indonesian national anthem. Please make sure to turn on your camera and also place your right hand over your chest like this. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. At-Tawbah, verse 60. To Zain Abu Qudsi, the time is yours.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you for that beautiful recitation, Brother Zain. Surah At-Tawbah, verse 60 explains zakat, which after the recitation should remind us about our relationship with Allah and our obligation in the payment of zakat. Now, we will move on to the next agenda, which is listening to several opening speeches from two respected speakers. The first opening speech is from the Director of Zakat and Waqaf Department of the Ministry of Religious Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia. We would like to first inform to the audience that this speech will be delivered in Bahasa Indonesia. Kepada yang terhormat Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi MA, waktu dan tempat kami persilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahillazi hadana li hadza wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula hadanallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'da. Allahumma shalli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah amma ba'd. Yang saya hormati Wakil Menteri Agama Republik Indonesia, Bapak Dr. Kiai Haji Zain Tauhid Saadi, yang saya hormati Ibu Gubernur Jawa Timur, Ibu Hajah Khofifah Indar Bawangsa, yang saya hormati Ketua Basnas Pusat, Bapak Profesor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, yang saya hormati Bapak Dirjen Bima Islam, Bapak Profesor Dr. Bil Haji Komoda Amin MA, Bapak Rektor Unair, Bapak Rektor Trisakti, Direktur Puskas Basnas Dr. Muhammad Asbi Zainal, para peserta internasional konferensi ICONZ Basnas yang saya hormati dan saya muliakan. Pertama kita bersyukur Allah Subhanahu wa taala bersalawat junjungan alam Nabi besar Muhammad SAW. Allahumma shalli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala sayyidina Muhammad. Tentunya kami khusus Direktorat Pemberdayaan Zakat dan Wakaf memberikan apresiasi yang sebesarnya kepada Basnas dan Pusat Kajian Strategi Basnas serta para akademisi dari UNAIR, Surabaya, dan Universitas Trisakti untuk mengadakan agenda yang sangat mendukung dalam perkembangan gerakan zakat nasional dan internasional. Kami juga berterima kasih kepada tamu undangan, para profesor, doktor, akademisi dari luar negeri di mana tercatat ada 25 negara yang turut berpartisipasi di dalam kegiatan ini. Para hadirin yang kami hormati, forum ilmiah dan diskusi seperti ini mengenai tata kelola zakat, strategi pemanfaatan teknologi, dan pengumpulan pendayaan guna dan pendistribusian zakat sangat perlu dilakukan secara masif dan meluas.
Right. It seems that there is a error in the internet connection of Bapak Tarmizi Tohor. So while we wait for the internet to come back on.
Halo?
Iya,
Ya.
Bapak.
Selanjutnya Mbak ya.
Iya, Pak Bayu lanjutkan.
Ya, jadi maka ada 3 hal yang penting yang perlu menjadi pemantik forum dan diskusi sehingga nantinya bisa menjadi referensi kebijakan tata kelola zakat. Yang pertama, aspek kepatuhan syariah dan tidak bertentangan dengan regulasi zakat. Dalam hal ini, peran zakat untuk membangun inklusif haruslah ditinjau secara kepatuhan syariah yang berlandasan Quran, hadis, kaidah-kaidah fikih, dan lain sebagainya. Maka dari itu, perlu sekali kepatuhan syariah ini menjadi acuan dan dipegang teguh oleh lembaga-lembaga zakat yang ada. Kemudian, selain itu juga perlu menjauh dari aspek regulasi yang ada Undang-Undang Zakat Nomor 23 Tahun 2011, peraturan pemerintah dan peraturan Menteri Agama terkait dengan hal tersebut. Dalam hal ini Kementerian Agama juga telah merumuskan standarisasi audit kepatuhan syariah bagi amil zakat, sehingga nantinya tidak bertentangan dengan dan menimbulkan kontroversi di kalangan masyarakat Indonesia. Harapan dengan forum ilmiah ini ada banyak referensi, rujukan, dan kajian mengenai tinjauan tersebut dalam mendukung peran zakat untuk pembangunan inklusif. Tentunya ini juga untuk memberikan kepercayaan penuh kepada masyarakat. Para hadirin yang kami hormati, kedua, sinergitas dan kolaborasi dengan sumber keuangan sosial lainnya seperti infak, sedekah, wakaf, dan dana-dana CSR perusahaan lainnya. Dalam hal ini pembangunan inklusif peran zakat sangat terbatas karena ada ketentuan penyaluran untuk 8 asnaf dan mustahik, sehingga diperlukan sinergi dan kolaborasi dengan dana-dana infak atau dana syariah lainnya, sehingga diperlukan betul untuk sinergitas tersebut. Sedekah dan dana CSR perusahaan dan lain sebagainya ini sangat diperlukan untuk mendukung keuangan zakat itu sendiri. Saudara hadirin yang kami hormati, yang ketiga, pemanfaatan teknologi dan data informasi untuk mendukung peran zakat dalam pembangunan inklusif. Dalam hal ini harus Basnas berangkat dengan data real terkait dengan mustahik dan kebutuhan Basnas, dan LAS harus memiliki teknologi data yang dapat menginformasikan mustahik by name, by address, dan sebagainya. Itu penting sekali karena kita tidak mengambang di dalam data-data yang ada. Tentunya dengan adanya teknologi ini, pemanfaatan teknologi ini sangat diperlukan hari ini untuk kita semakin dipercaya oleh masyarakat. Jadi hal ini sangat penting untuk kita kembangkan terus ke depannya. Dan tentunya kami berharap semakin hari semakin bertambah pengumpulan zakat itu sendiri dan semakin terfokus dan terpadu di dalam penyaluran zakat. Sehingga saya lebih sering mengatakan zakat itu bukan hanya sekedar untuk melepaskan kewajiban itu saja, tetapi yang paling penting adalah zakat sebenarnya bisa untuk pengentasan kemiskinan, pengurangan angka kemiskinan.
Right, it seems that there is a loss in the internet connection again. Okay, it seems that we have lost Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi Tohar. Well, while we wait for him to reconnect back to our event, for those who do not speak Bahasa Indonesia, I will explain a bit about what he was trying to explain in his speech. So Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi Tohor tried to express his gratitude towards this event. He said that he has his full support towards this event because it is a very intellectual event and will bring new perspective, and he hopes that it will bring new perspective towards the community and towards all the people who are attending this event, because there are many experts within this event who will be giving their insights and many of their experiences regarding zakat and technology. So it seems that we have totally lost connection to Dr. Anas Haji Tarmizi Tohor. So I think we will now move on to the next agenda. And the next agenda will be an opening speech from the Director of Business Center of Strategic Studies, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal. So Dr. Hasbi Zainal, the floor is yours.
Okay. The Excellencies Dr. K. Haji Zainul Tauhid, Vice Minister of Religious Affairs of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA CA, Basnas Chairman, and all of Basnas Vice Chairman, together with all Basnas Commissioner here, the Excellencies Dr. Anda Haja Khafifah Indar Parawansa, MSI, the Governor of East Java, the Excellencies Professor Dr. Haji Kamarudin Amin, MA, the Director of General Islamic Community Directorate, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Indonesia, the Honorable Professor Dr. Muhammad Nasih, SAMT, AK, CMA, Rector of Erlangga University, Surabaya, Profesor Dr. Ali Gufron Mukti, MSc, PhD, Rector of Trisakti University, Jakarta, the Honorable Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi Tohor, MA, the Director of Zakat and Wakaf Department, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Indonesia, and also the distinguished speakers and invited guests of the fourth ICONZ today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina wa sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lah. Wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'dah. All praise is due to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Lord of the whole world. It is because of His blessing that we all are here now, attending the fourth International Conference of Zakat, or ICONZ 2020. May rahmah and barakah surround all of us here now. And peace and salutation be upon our Prophet Muhammad SAW, the last messenger of Allah who had struggled with an unimaginable pain to deliver the beauty of Islam, the religion that we all believe in. May the blessing of Allah be continuous to the Prophet's family, his companions, and all of us. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, as we have been facing this difficult time of COVID-19 pandemic, that we had planned to conduct this event in Surabaya, East Java, and it is Allah's decision that makes us meeting here virtually. I am pleased to inform you that this virtual, the fourth ICONZ, received more than 500 registration from participants across the countries. And also we recorded around 30 countries are here now, joining with us here. Even our brothers and sisters with different time, such as those who are now in Nigeria and UK, they are about 6 until 7 hours behind me. It is still early morning there. Alhamdulillah. They are now joining us. Alhamdulillah. May Allah bless our event. Amin. As also we have been experiencing the growing phenomenon of technological management adopting in Zakat institution such that both in practices and academic discussion, the new COVID-19 has been spreading worldwide recently. I have been seeing that myself, as an Amil Zakat or Amil of Zakat, this pandemic has been creating significant challenges for Zakat administration, not only in Indonesia, but I think also in worldwide as well. Of course, such challenges demand the role of Zakat in facing COVID-19 consequences. The topic of Zakat, technology, and COVID-19 has thus become a new arena among the experts for discussion like in ICONZ today. And this event in this fourth ICONZ is formed to discuss included this issue. And the term of ZakaTech, as we have mentioned in the theme, as has been pioneered by the International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance, or ISRO Malaysia, is introduced here in the fourth icon. And we have translated this theme into several topics in our plenary session. The topic in the plenary session 1, we will rise about the role of Islamic social finance in promoting inclusive development in time of new normal COVID-19. This plenary session 1 is expected to provide us relevant knowledge regarding the subject that is delivered by both industry professionals and academics. Furthermore, in plenary session 2 and 3 that will be conducted tomorrow in 8 October 2020, we will raise the topic about the use of technology in zakat management in time of new normal COVID-19 and blockchain technology for zakat institution, respectively. This topic is important particularly for zakat professionals. Alhamdulillah, here we are able to present the speakers who are the experts of this field, inshallah. Also, with regards to parallelization, I would like to congratulate the authors here whose papers are accepted in this event. We have also this afternoon, inshallah, four different rooms that the participants also may attend to see the parallelization. Please to attend the parallelization, which inshallah the link will be distributed by our technical team soon. Also, we are now live. Also we are now live on YouTube channel of Basnas TV. Please check YouTube and type of Basnas TV. And I would like to thank all the audience. Thanks to the audience in home who are with us now watching from the Basnas TV. Last but not least, inshallah, this coming November, next month, we will have another big zakat conference virtually. It is the World Zakat Forum International Conference 2020 that inshallah also will address the topic of around the activation of zakat in the global economic recovery post-pandemic, post-COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude this opening speech, once again, welcome to the fourth International Conference of Zakat, or ICONZ, and welcome to the world of virtual, and hopefully everyone can benefit from this event. That's from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Hasbi Zainal, for your enlightening and encouraging words. Now, we will move on to the next agenda, which is welcoming speeches from 4 different speakers. The first welcoming speech will be from the Governor of East Java, Dr. Anda Haji Khofifa Indar Parawansa, MSE, which will be represented by Dr. Andes Abimanyu Poncarmojo Iswinarno, MM, the Assistant of General Administration of the Regional Government of East Java Province. His speech will also be delivered in Bahasa Indonesia. Kepada yang terhormat, Dr. Andes Abimanyu, waktu dan tempat kami persilahkan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Silakan Pak.
Mohon maaf, kebetulan Ibu Gubernur Jawa Timur, Bu Khofifa Indar Parawansa, pada pagi hari ini ada kegiatan yang bersamaan dengan kegiatan tentang International Conference of Zakat. Maka dari itu kami diminta untuk mewakili beliaunya, dan sekali lagi kami selaku asisten administrasi umum yang nanti akan menyampaikan sambutan Ibu Gubernur dalam bahasa Indonesia. Yang kami hormati Bapak Profesor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo MBA, CA Ketua Badan Amil Zakat Nasional, beserta Wakil Ketua dan segenap anggota Basnas. Yang kami hormati Profesor Dr. Haji Kamarudin Amin, MA, Dirjen Bimbingan Masyarakat Islam Kementerian Agama Republik Indonesia. Yang kami hormati Bapak Profesor Dr. Muhammad Nasih, SE, MTAK, CMA, Rektor Universitas Erlangga, Surabaya. Yang kami hormati Bapak Profesor Dr. Ali Gufron Mukti, MSI, MSc, MPhD, Rektor Universitas Trisakti. Yang kami hormati Bapak Dr. Andes Haji Tarmisi Tohor, MA, Direktur Pemberdayaan Zakat dan Wakaf Kementerian Agama Republik Indonesia. Dan yang kami hormati Bapak Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal, Direktur Pusat Kajian Strategis Basnas. Dan yang kami hormati Bapak Dr. Kiai Haji Zainul Tauhid, Wakil Menteri Agama Republik Indonesia, serta para pembicara dan tamu undangan pada acara International Conference of Zakat. Pertama, saya ingin mengucapkan selamat datang kepada para pembicara sesi pleno International Conference of Zakat atau ICONZ keempat yang direncanakan akan diselenggarakan di Surabaya. Dan qadarullah karena pandemi COVID-19 kita laksanakan secara online. Selamat datang juga saya ucapkan kepada para peserta paralel ICONZ keempat yang akan mempresentasikan hasil kajiannya yang berkaitan dengan zakat, juga para hadirin sekalian. Saya berpendapat bahwa penelitian mengenai zakat harus terus dikembangkan, terutama dalam konteks Indonesia dan global. Ini dilakukan agar akselerasi menuju kesejahteraan umat dapat segera dicapai di negara kita khususnya, dan dalam konteks dunia pada umumnya. Saya meyakini bahwa penelitian yang adaptif dengan konteks dan isu terkini akan membuka jalan yang lebih akurat bagi implementasi hasil kajian tersebut, termasuk kajian-kajian ilmiah mengenai zakat. Ini harus dilakukan dengan merespon isu-isu terkini agar pengelolaan zakat adaptif dengan kondisi saat ini, terutama di masa pandemi COVID-19 ini. Sebagaimana kita ketahui bersama, saat ini dunia sedang memasuki revolusi industri keempat, atau dalam bahasa Inggris itu revolusi 4.0. Transformasi ini telah mengubah landscape atau peta ekonomi global. Ini juga termasuk mengubah cara bisnis yang bekerja di semua sektor, termasuk sektor industri keuangan sosial Islam seperti lembaga zakat. Dalam hal ini kemajuan teknologi yang pesat tentunya telah membawa dampak bagi zakat nasional maupun global. Oleh karena kemajuan teknologi yang sangat pesat ini, dan saat yang bersamaan terjadi pandemi COVID-19, saya berpendapat bahwa lembaga zakat harus memahami dan memanfaatkan teknologi yang relevan dan berkesesuaian agar dapat mengaktifkan peran zakat yang signifikan, utamanya dalam pengelolaan dana zakat yang lebih efektif dan efisien di masa pandemik ini. Hal ini tentunya mencakup dalam hal pengumpulan dan pendistribusian zakat, di mana para pemangku kepentingan harus adaptif dengan penggunaan teknologi agar zakat dapat dipraktekkan sebagaimana substansi hukumnya. Teknologi generasi saat ini dan yang akan mendatang seperti robot process automation atau RPA, kecerdasan buatan atau artificial intelligence dan Internet of Things atau LETO telah menjadi lokomotif utama dalam mendorong revolusi industri keempat. Saat ini banyak jenis teknologi generasi baru yang tersedia yang dapat dimanfaatkan oleh lembaga zakat. Akan tetapi hal yang perlu diingat bahwa hukum syariah adalah yang utama yang mendasari pengaturan pengelolaan zakat. Sehingga pemanfaatan teknologi dalam pengelolaan zakat harus didasarkan pada dasar hukum syariah yang kuat dan relevan. Agar pengelolaan dana zakat menggunakan teknologi bisa memberikan manfaat atau maslahat yang besar bagi para penerima manfaat tanpa melanggar aspek-aspek dari hukum syariah. Dalam hal ini, kajian-kajian terkait zakat dan teknologi harus terus dilakukan. Hadirin sekalian yang kami hormati, lebih lanjut mengenai keberadaan teknologi saat ini. Jika pengembangan teknologi blockchain di industri telah berkembang dalam tataran praktis, sebagaimana dikembangkan oleh perusahaan Findra yang berbasis di Singapura, di mana hal ini dapat menjaga rantai public trust atau kepercayaan publik atas dana wakaf yang diberikan oleh publik sampai ke proyek dana wakaf tersebut. Maka dalam hal ini saya berpendapat bahwa teknologi blockchain seperti ini juga akan applicable atau dapat diadaptasi oleh lembaga zakat demi memenuhi public trust. Saya sangat mengapresiasi dengan acara The Fourth ICONZ ini. Saya melihat acara ini sangat adaptif dengan kebutuhan zaman ini, di mana isu-isu zakat dikaitkan dengan teknologi yang sangat berkembang pesat, sebagaimana telah saya sampaikan tadi. Sedikit ingin mengomentari tajuk-tajuk yang diangkat dalam The Four Icons ini. Saya sangat kagum utamanya untuk tajuk zakat, teknologi, dan COVID-19. Hal ini tentunya ketika sudah masuk dalam tataran praktek, ini akan mempermudah kerja-kerja para amil zakat, terutama untuk membantu pemulihan ekonomi pasca COVID-19. Selain itu, saya juga terinspirasi oleh topik blockchain teknologi untuk pengelolaan zakat, teori dan aplikasi. Tentu konteks topik ini dengan realitas sekarang sangat bersesuaian, dan sebagai Gubernur Jawa Timur, saya berkomitmen untuk mempraktekkan zakat agar lebih adaptif dengan kebutuhan kita saat ini. Demikian, sekian Yang kami sampaikan sambutan dari Ibu Gubernur Khofifah Indar Parawansa. Dan sekali lagi selamat menuju ICON yang keempat. Dan wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the amazing speech, Dr. Andes Abimanyu. For those who do not speak Bahasa, Dr. Andes Abimanyu has just conveyed that all scientific researches on zakat and technology are crucial to the current situation of COVID-19 and technology. Therefore, he understands that this event is very relevant to the current situation and that all outputs and discussions within this event to be implemented for the betterment of society. Moving on to our next welcoming speech is from the Rector of Airlangga University, that will be represented by the Deputy Rector, Dr. Muhammad Madian, SA, MSI, MPhil. To Dr. Muhammad Madian, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlilhu fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahumma shalli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Excellency for Director of Zakat and Waqf Department, General Islamic Community Director, Ministry of Religious Affairs Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi, MA, Director of Basnas Center of Strategic Studies, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal, Governor of ISDAPA, Dr. Anda Hajah Khofifah Indar Parawansa, MSI, Rector of Trisakti University, Jakarta, Profesor Dr. Ali Gupron Mukti, MSc, PhD, Director of General Islamic Community Directorate, Ministry of Religious of Republic of Indonesia, Profesor Dr. Phil Haji Kamarudin Anin, MA, Basnas Chairman Profesor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA, CA, Basnas Commissioner, CEO and Director of Basnas, keynote and invited speakers, presenter audience, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the Chairman of Basnas for giving Universitas Airlangga opportunity to support this International Conference of Zakat 2020. Hopefully, in the future, Airlangga University can always support any academic activities like this one. It is a part of our obligation as an educational institution. Moreover, for UNAIR, which provides education on Islamic economics at bachelor's, master, and doctoral degree. Ladies and gentlemen, Zakat is an important instrument of Islam. As one of the 5 pillars of Islam, Zakat is the way to redistribute wealth to achieve communal welfare. With Zakat, some of the wealth of the rich or mujaki is given to the poor or mustahiq, so in the end, everyone can be prosperous. As the main instrument to redistribute wealth, Allah has blessed us with a certain mechanism so Zakat can realize the community welfare. There is a great potential of Zakat in the Muslim community. A study has shown that its potential can reach 3.4% of GDP, which is GDP around 16,500 trillion. Its potential reach 544 trillion. From that enormous potential, Zakat, which has been collected by Basnas and LAZ, was only 10 trillion. I think it is not about a reluctance of Muslim community to pay zakat, but because most muzaki have paid them directly to mustahik or through organization nearby, such as mosques or orphanages. In my opinion, this is the challenge faced by Basnas and LAZ. Muzaki should pay their zakat through LAZ and or BAZ. This is one of interesting topic to be discussed in this international conference. There are also issues on zakat core principle, good governance of zakat institution, and the performance of zakat collecting organization. Ladies and gentlemen, another important thing about zakat is acknowledgement of zakat by the state as instrument which reduce the direct tax. We all know that the state only acknowledges zakat to reduce indirect tax. It means zakat is only received as a taxable income deductible. Therefore, the tax obligation should be reduced, although not significant in amount. We need to support this cause so zakat could be tax deductible. If the government has shown support on zakat management, it could also synchronize zakat distribution through the government program in the annual state budget or APBN, especially through the programs for community empowerment and poverty alleviation. This synergy between the government and zakat institution will bring mutual benefits. For the zakat institution, the collaboration will lead to more effective zakat distribution. They will share data with the government to empower the community and alleviate poverty. Especially in this pandemic situation, where many people lost their job and fall under poverty line, where many of people infected by COVID-19 and need health treatment that can be expensive, zakat can play a significant role to help government to cope this situation. Therefore, they can focus on supporting the certain object or regions. Likewise, the government can focus empowerment and poverty alleviation funding to regions which are not handled by zakat institution. The synergy can be realized if the government put zakat as a part of its management by improving literacy, encourage Muslim community to pay zakat, and giving incentive to zakat payers. If the potential 540 trillion can be achieved, it will support about 25% of APBN, and it can be used to alleviate poverty. With infrastructure needed by the Muslim community, such as mosques, schools, and hospitals. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, this strategic issue on zakat can be discussed in this international conference. It is the right forum for practitioner, government official, and academic to exchange views and ideas on zakat. It is also the right moment to collaborate for zakat diplomat as an essential instrument of Islam to achieve community welfare. Finally, I wish we all have an insightful conference, a fruitful discussion and make huge contribution in practicing Islam, and that also achieve the welfare of community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with health, happiness, and His ridha. Thank you. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Madian, for your speech. Now, we will move on to the next welcoming speech, which is from the Rector of Trisakti University, Jakarta, Professor Dr. Ali Gufran Mukti, MSc, PhD. To Professor Ali Gufran, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you listen my voice?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrofil mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain, amma ba'du. Excellency Dr. Kiai Haji Zainul Tauhid Saadi, Vice Minister of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Honorable Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA, the Basnas Chairman, and Ibu Khafifah Indar Parawangsa, represented by Pak Bayu, the Governor of East Java, Professor Dr. Kamaluddin Amin, Director of General Islamic Community, Directorate Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Muhammad Nasih, here represented by the Vice Rector of Erlangga University, and Dr. Andes Hatarmizi Tohor, Director of Zakat and Wakaf Department, General Islamic Community, Directorate Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, distinguished speakers, invited guests, and all the participants of fourth ICONZ. And I heard that there are around 25 countries participating in this very important seminars. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As we know that the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted the way we live today, our livelihood and how we do business, even how we do daily practice activities. The nation is facing a crisis like we never experienced before, maybe 100 years ago. What started as a health crisis at an alarming rate and magnitude, the effects are still unfolding, become a death toll, and ramification of the pandemic can only be seen until situation stabilized by the vaccine, medicine, and also the appropriate policy and behavior of the community. In a rapidly changing world, COVID-19 has also increased social needs and decreasing resources, hence elevating the demand and providing support of relief, and also they can live with prosperity is very important. And it is important also to design projects or programs to enable equitable recovery as well as building system for long-term resilience, especially for disadvantaged groups. As we know that Islamic teaching is very emphasized our support to the poor. And the principle of Pancasila, especially the principle number 5, social justice for the whole citizens of Indonesia, is very important. And this can be solved partly by Zakat, as mentioned also by Vice Rector from Erlangga, that the possibility of collection from Zakat can be reached 430 trillion rupiah, or 1/4 of our annual budget. We believe that this pandemic has been creating significant challenges for Islamic financial activity, especially Zakat administration worldwide. And such challenges, of course, create the demand role of the Zakat in facing COVID-19 consequences is really important. And the topic of Zakat technology today's, the Zakat technology and COVID-19 has thus become a new arena among the experts for discussion and problem solution. And as we know that there is no country which can be developed if not depend on the innovation of the technology. And therefore, I think it is very important that we be able to develop the technology which can, very easy to collect the data from the field by name, by address, and who is the muzaki and who is actually the beneficiaries. Today's fourth international conference on Zakat, the fourth ICONZ, Zakat Technology or ZakaTech for inclusive development, as a profound discussion about technological instrument that the Islamic financial sector can offer for the well-being of the global society, especially in Muslim world. Zakat technology, which is referred to the use of technology in the management of Zakat institution, will be able to become digital transformation in critical aspect of the inclusive development, notably in unprecedented time of the COVID-19. Therefore, Trisakti University are very pleased, along with other institutions, are delighted to be part of the international conference on ZakaTech or Zakat technology for inclusive development. A warm congratulations to Basnas, Prof. Bambang Sudibyo, and all the organizers for organizing this event, very important event. And we hope that this event would install the knowledge of Zakat and value of giving to the needy persons and will give a positive impact to the society at large, and not only today, but also the long run. Again, I think I'm also working in the Ministry of Research Technology. It is not difficult to find and to research and innovate the new technology which can help how the Zakat management should be run or should be managed. I think that is all, and thank you from the University of Trisakti. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Ali Gufran, for your wonderful speech. Now I would like to announce to the audience that there has been a change in the rundown for today's event. So instead of having another welcoming speech, we will now move on to the keynote speeches. The next agenda, which is the keynote speeches from two respected speakers. The first one will be from the Basnas Chairman, Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA, CA. Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can follow, yeah.
Yes, thank you. So now we will move on to the speech from Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo. To Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, the time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa syukrulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wala haula wala quwwata illa billah. Allahumma sholli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. His Excellency Dr. Kiai Haji Zainud Tauhid Saadi, Vice Minister of Religious Affairs, Government of Indonesia, Honorable Professor Dr. Kamarudin Amin, Director General of Bimas Islam, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Honorable Dr. Andes Hajah Khofifa Indar Parawangsa, MSI, Governor of East Java, Honorable Professor Dr. Muhammad Nasih, Rector of Erlangga University, Honorable Professor Dr. Ali Gufron Mukti, Rector of Trisakti University, Honorable Dr. Andes Haji Tarmizi Tohor, MA, Director of Zakat and Wakaf, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Honorable Dr. M. Hasbi Zainal, Director of Basnas Center of Strategic Studies, all distinguished speakers and all invited participants. May salawat and salam always be granted by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all his disciples till the end of the world. First of all, I would like to touch the issue of the importance of International Conference on Zakat. Zakat movement is now getting more and more global. At the world level, we have the World Zakat Forum, or WZF, a global organization with membership of more than 39 countries right now, and at least 3 associate members, including Islamic Development Bank, UNDP, and UNICEF. The number of members and associate members keep increasing. Up to now, I am still the Secretary General of the World Zakat Forum, assisted by 6 deputies of Secretary General, representing regions of the Middle East, Europe, North Africa, West Africa, South Asia, and Southern Asia. The World Zakat Forum conducts conference and meeting every year. The annual conference is a forum for sharing and exchanges of best practices, new ideas, and research results, while the annual meeting is the forum to decide organizational matters. For example, I would like to show that the World Zakat Forum has adopted one best practice in managing zakat, which is the Zakat Core Principles, or ZCP. Yeah. ZCP are prudential principles in management zakat, just like Basel principles in banking industry. ZCP was adopted by Basnas. ZCP was developed by Basnas in cooperation with the Central Bank of Indonesia and the Islamic Development Bank. And now I would like to address zakat management during COVID-19 pandemic. During COVID-19 pandemic, zakat, infak, and sodakoh, we abbreviated ZIS, this fund collected should be allocated to respond to the needs of those affected by the pandemic, either those who are affected in terms of their health or those who are affected in terms of their socioeconomic condition. In the Central Basnas, during the pandemic, appropriation of this fund is quite different from allocation in the normal era. During the pandemic, allocation for health emergency responses take 25% of total allocation, while 4 socioeconomic emergencies take 71%, while for continuing the existing programs take only 4%. So this number indicates that we really concentrate this location really for emergency response for the victim of the COVID-19 pandemic. Locations of this fund by Basnas at the provincial level, you know, we have 34 provincial Basnas. Basnas at the city and kabupaten level, you know, we have 515 city kabupaten Basnas level, and by all lembaga amil zakat, OLAS, follow the example given by the central Basnas. Although they are a bit more moderate, by allocating a bit more for the existing programs. Next, I would like to address the issue of Islamic social finance in promoting inclusive development in time of new normal COVID-19. The most widely known source of fund of Islamic social finance are Zakat and Wakaf. Zis and Wakaf, Zis and Wakaf fund should be managed as such to promote inclusive development of the welfare of all beneficiaries. In the new normal era, those funds should be managed to help those affected by the pandemic to well-being up to the pre-pandemic level. You know, Basnas, the central Basnas, also work closely with the BPKH, Badan Pengelola Keuangan Haji, where BPKH allocate fund, through Basnas, to help those who are the victim of the pandemic. Next, I would like to address the issue of digitalization of this management. COVID-19 pandemic has forced all Zakat organizations to creatively respond to the pandemic, benefiting the available technology. In such condition, digitalization of this management, either for collection or distribution purposes, is the best logical choice. The Central Basnas has done it quite well. In terms of collection, the growth of digital collection is really very promising. It was 0% in 2015, and then becoming around 3% in 2016, and then increased to around 7% in 2017, and then grows again to around 12% in 2018, and around 18% in 2019, and now more than 25% in 2020. It is expected that in the long term, more than 50% of this collected are those collected by digital platforms. In this respect, I would like to remind that the credible database is very important, especially for distribution purposes. In Basnas, we have cooperation with the Ministry of Social Affairs. This database provides real data of the bottom 40% poorest citizen, which is itemized by name and by address. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of the poorest citizens have increased significantly. Therefore, I would like to suggest that Ministry of Social Affairs adjust the database to reflect the increment of the bottom poorest citizen. Maybe the moral fund database is no longer the database of the bottom poorest citizen, but maybe to reflect the new reality, it's become the bottom 45%, to reflect, realistically the new reality. I don't know. I think for these purposes, the Ministry of Social Affairs should conduct some research to find the more relevant reality. Finally, it is now time for me to end my speech. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, for your wonderful speech. Now, we will move on to the next keynote speech from His Excellency, the Vice Minister of Religious Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Kiai Haji Zainud Tauhid. His Excellency will be delivering his speech in Bahasa Indonesia. Kepada Dr. Kiai Haji Zainud Tauhid, dengan segala hormatnya kami persilahkan.
Itulah tadi yang saya sampaikan. Sebenarnya yang contoh moralitas itu memang itu ada tergantung kita mau ambil dari aktivitas yang.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah, wala haula wala quwata illa billah, ma ba'du. Yang saya hormati Ketua dan Wakil Ketua Badan Amil Zakat Nasional, utamanya Bapak Profesor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA. Yang saya hormati Ibu Gubernur Provinsi Jawa Timur. Yang saya hormati Bapak Direktur Jenderal Bimbingan Agama Islam, Bapak Profesor Dr. Kamarudin Amin. Yang saya hormati Bapak Rektor Universitas Airlangga, Profesor Dr. Muhammad Nasih. Yang saya hormati Bapak Rektor Universitas Trisakti, Bapak Profesor Dr. Ali Gufron. Yang saya hormati Direktur Pemberdayaan Zakat dan Wakaf, Bapak Haji Tarmidhi Tohor MA. Para akademisi, para ekonom dan praktisi zakat yang tidak bisa saya sebutkan satu persatu tanpa mengurangi rasa hormat saya, dan seluruh peserta konferensi yang berbahagia. Puji syukur, marilah kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala atas limpahan nikmat dan karunia-Nya. Kita dapat bertemu secara virtual dalam kegiatan International Conference of Zakat pada hari ini. Selawat dan salam kita sanjungkan kehadiran Nabi besar Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam kepada keluarga dan sahabatnya serta pengikutnya sampai akhir zaman. Saya menyambut baik dan mengapresiasi konferensi Zakat Internasional keempat tahun ini yang terselenggara atas kolaborasi Badan Amil Zakat Nasional, Direktorat Pemberdayaan Zakat dan Wakaf, Kementerian Agama, Universitas Airlangga Surabaya, dan Universitas Trisakti Jakarta. Pemerintah Republik Indonesia terus mendorong semua organisasi pengelola zakat agar meningkatkan peran dan kontribusinya pendayagunaan zakat untuk mengatasi kemiskinan, pencapaian tujuan pembangunan global berkelanjutan, serta membantu tugas negara dalam menyelamatkan kehidupan manusia di tengah pandemi COVID-19 yang melanda sejumlah negara. Banyak harapan kini disandarkan kepada keuangan sosial syariah, khususnya zakat dan wakaf, ketika sistem keuangan yang digerakkan oleh pasar, kapital, dan penerimaan negara mengalami goncangan dan resesi akibat pandemi. Para peserta konferensi yang saya hormati, kegiatan yang mempertemukan para akademisi, ekonom, dan praktisi melalui pemaparan pemikiran terbaik mereka diharapkan semakin memperluas referensi pengembangan zakat Indonesia dan dunia. Islam mengajarkan kesetaraan harkat, derajat, dan martabat manusia, serta mendekatkan jarak sosial, jarak ekonomis, dan jarak psikologis antara kaum kaya dan kaum miskin melalui instrumen untuk memberi dan berbagi. Keseimbangan dan rasa keadilan di tengah masyarakat akan terganggu ketika setiap orang hanya pandai menuntut hak asasinya, tetapi mengabaikan kewajiban asasinya dalam hubungan antar sesama manusia. Ketentuan syariat Islam tentang kewajiban menunaikan zakat bagi muslim yang harta kekayaan dan penghasilannya telah memenuhi syarat, selain menumbuhkan etos kerja umat agar memenuhi kebutuhan hidup dengan cara yang benar, sekaligus memperkuat semangat persaudaraan dan tolong-menolong secara inklusif yang menembus segala lapisan struktur masyarakat. Pemimpin dan founding fathers kita, Bapak Dr. Muhammad Hatta, dalam sebuah pidatonya berjudul Islam dan Pembangunan Masyarakat, beliau menegaskan Islam menghendaki masyarakat tolong-menolong, masyarakat yang didasarkan kepada sifat yang terpuji di mata Allah, masyarakat yang berdasar kepada kasih sayang dan keadilan, masyarakat yang melaksanakan keadilan ilahi, keadilan sosial. Dalam konteks ini, zakat sebagai ibadah maliyah ijtimaiyah, ibadah dengan harta yang memiliki fungsi sosial, melambangkan secara konkret kewajiban asasi manusia, khususnya untuk memperhatikan, melindungi, dan memberdayakan sesama umat yang kurang beruntung secara ekonomi. Zakat bukan sekadar filantropi biasa, melainkan kewajiban atas harta dan penghasilan seseorang muslim dalam kadar dan nilai tertentu untuk mereka yang berhak menerimanya. Sementara etika dan cara terbaik dalam memberikan zakat akan menjaga keadaban masyarakat, di mana muzaki atau orang yang memberi zakat tidak berhadapan langsung dengan orang miskin sebagai mustahik zakat. Dalam proses memberi dan menerima zakat, tidak boleh menimbulkan perasaan riya dan berjasa bagi yang memberi atau sebaliknya rasa rendah diri dan hutang budi bagi yang menerima. Oleh karena itu, dalam penunaian zakat diperlukan amil zakat sebagai mediator antara muzaki dan mustahik. Perkembangan teknologi informasi dan layanan digital pada organisasi pengelola zakat bukan hanya positif dari sudut inovasi layanan lembaga, tetapi sangat penting dalam rangka memudahkan akses zakat dan akses mustahik dalam menerima hak-haknya tanpa merasa rendah dan direndahkan. Dalam pada itu, bukan berarti organisasi pengelola zakat boleh mengabaikan hak-hak fakir miskin dan komunitas sosial yang belum tersentuh dengan teknologi informasi. Para peserta konferensi yang saya muliakan, melalui forum konferensi ini, saya berharap akan lahir pemikiran-pemikiran baru untuk kemajuan pengelolaan zakat dan pemberdayaan fakir miskin. Pemerintah Indonesia, dalam hal ini Kementerian Agama, sebagai pemegang otoritas kebijakan makro perzakatan, melalui forum konferensi ini saya berharap akan lahir pemikiran-pemikiran baru untuk kemajuan pengelolaan zakat dan pemberdayaan fakir miskin. Pemerintah Indonesia, dalam hal ini Kementerian Agama, sebagai pemegang otoritas kebijakan makro perzakatan, menaruh ekspektasi besar kepada organisasi pengelola zakat dan para pegiat zakat dunia untuk terus menggulirkan agenda-agenda kerjasama perzakatan antar bangsa dan memaksimalkan manfaat zakat untuk perlindungan akidah agama, jiwa, harta, kehormatan, dan kualitas keturunan sesuai dengan maqasidus syariah. Potensi zakat umat Islam sedunia sangat membantu tugas negara dalam mengatasi ketimpangan ekonomi dan kemiskinan apabila jika dimobilisasi dengan baik melalui sistem pengumpulan dan distribusi yang rapi dan tepat sasaran. Untuk itu para amil zakat harus bekerja profesional, amanah, jujur, tidak berpihak pada suku dan golongan, serta memiliki loyalitas yang tinggi terhadap tugasnya. Peserta konferensi yang saya muliakan, sebelum mengakhiri sambutan keynote speech ini, saya berharap konferensi zakat internasional berlangsung dengan sukses dan melahirkan rekomendasi yang dapat diimplementasikan dan dioperasionalkan dalam kerangka kerjasama antar bangsa, serta menginspirasi peningkatan kinerja pengelola zakat yang melayani dan lebih dekat dengan umat. Selamat bertukar gagasan, mari bersama-sama memikirkan dan berbuat untuk kemajuan peradaban zakat yang mensejahterakan umat manusia. Sekian akhirul kalam. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your amazing speech, Your Excellency, Dr. K. Haji Zainut Tauhid. For those who do not speak Bahasa Indonesia, His Excellency, the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, has just conveyed that zakat isn't only a regular philanthropy, but it is also our obligation as Muslims to pay and distribute zakat. Not only does it strengthen our relationship with our brothers and sisters in Islam, but also strengthens our relationship with Allah. He also has conveyed that he urges for zakat to be accessible to all by utilizing technology within this era. Now that we have finished listening to all the opening, welcoming, and keynote speeches, we will have a short photo session before proceeding to the plenary session. We would kindly ask for all participants to turn on their camera and join us for this photo session. Bapak Ibu sekalian, kami mohon untuk menyalakan kamera dan untuk mengikuti kegiatan photo session berikut ini sebelum kita melanjutkan kepada acara plenary session.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will take 3 photos and I will count from 1 to 3. So please be ready and turn on your camera. For first photo, be ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold up. For second photo. 1, 2, 3. And the last one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bapak Ibu sekalian. Thank you very much.
Badan Amil Zakat Nasional is the highest government zakat institution that was established by the Presidential Decree number 8, year 2001. Its major function is to collect and distribute zakat, infak, and sadaqah at the national level. In accordance with the law number 23 of 2011 concerning management of zakat, Basnas Indonesia is given the authority to manage zakat nationally. Based on its law, Basnas is declared as a non-structural government institution that is independent and is responsible to the President through the Minister of Religion Affairs. Basnas spread throughout Indonesia and organizing 23 national laws, 15 large provinces, 34 Basnas provinces, and 514 Basnas regencies and cities. Since 2004, Basnas has achieved ISO 9001 of 2015, and Basnas financial report has been audited by public accountant with unqualified audit opinion since 2002, and achieved gold and bronze award from Indonesia Community Engagement Award 2018 for public community category. Basnas received the International Award in Global Islamic Finance Award 2018 and 2 awards as Best Zakat Distribution Program and Humanitarian Award in 2019. The most favorite philanthropy institution on the Anugerah Syariah Republika Award 2018. Got the Best Service on Zakat Management Organization category in 2019. Basnas got Padma Mitra Award in 2019 in the category of the Sustainability of Value Chain in Organization. Since establishment, Basnas Indonesia has attempted to provide benefit to mustahik or zakat beneficiaries in order to increase their quality of life through Basnas programs. The programs categorized in three general topics: economic development programs, social programs, and advocational programs. The social programs including Basnas Disaster Response. Basnas Disaster Response is a work unit from Basnas Distribution Division, which is tasked for reducing disaster effects that causing poverty and reducing the risk of poverty due to disaster. Basnas Active Service is a social emergency service program for mustahik with a model of handling on target, on time and fast, and handling accurately. Basnas Free Hospital. Basnas Free Hospital is a program that represents Basnas in integrated health service for all mustahik, which include curative, preventive, rehabilitative, promotive, and advocacy aspects. Basnas Scholar School. Basnas Scholar School is a Basnas education institution at junior high school level. The student is a child from economically disadvantaged family. Basnas Scholarship Institution. Basnas Scholarship Institution is a program that provides education funding for college students from economically disadvantaged economic family as the intergeneration responsibility. The economic development programs. Zakat Community Development is Basnas empowerment program through community and village by integrating aspects of da'wah, economy, education, and humanity comprehensively, which is funded by zakat, infak, charity, and other religious social funds. The Institute for Economic Empowerment Mustahik, institution that is assigned to improve the quality life of mustahik through agriculture, animal husbandry, fishery, marine, plantation, and continuous sustainable forestry based on zakat empowerment value and become one of the basic elements to fulfill Basnas vision. Basnas Microfinance is one of the Basnas utilization institution on economic sector that running empowerment program on micro business owner for society which is classified as mustahik and have commitment as entrepreneurship in the form of non-profit productive financing. Basnas Institute of Mustahik Breeder Empowerment is a program institution to carry out the function of livestock production, marketing, and institutional assistance for breeders. The advocational programs. The advocational programs including Basnas Center of Strategic Studies. Basnas Center of Strategic Studies is a program that assigned to do strategic research on zakat to advance national zakat. Mualaf Center Basnas is a program that is assigned to provide guidance and assistance for mualaf according to Islamic Sharia guidelines to be a kafah Muslim and Muslim.
time of new normal COVID-19. This session will feature several speakers and will be moderated by Dr. Eleonora Sofilda from Trisakti University. Who would like to ask questions during the plenary session, you may type in your question through the chat box in the lower middle screen of your laptop. Please type your question with this format: name, institution or country, to whom the question is for, and then type in your question. I will now read Dr. Eleonora was born in Jakarta on the 14th August of 1972. She is now a lecturer and has studied her bachelor degree in economics in the University of Trisakti, then has taken her master's degree in the Faculty of Economy of the University of Indonesia, and has taken her doctoral degree in the Faculty of Economic and Business of the Trisakti University. She has also has experience in the field of academic activity as a speaker in the FGD of the Ministry of Labor topic Omnibus Law, November 2019 until present, a speaker in the FGD for the Ministry of Transportation in September 2020, speaker in the FGD of OJK, topic of microfinance, Wakaf Micro in 2019, an evaluator for the poster 19, a reviewer for the thesis proposal seminar for the University Science Islam. For the University of Science Islam Malaysia in October 2019, and also a guest lecturer for Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School in October 2019. She has also submitted more than 15 articles in Journal International, and she will be the moderator for today's session. So now, without any further ado, we would like to give the session to Dr. Eleonora. Dr. Eleonora, the time is yours. Dr. Eleonora? Yes, Dr. Eleonora has now... Yes, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Viola. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First of all, let us say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, which has given guidance and blessing to us. Our salawat and greetings are always delivered on our great Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which has brought us from darkness to brighter. His Excellency Dr. Kiai Haji Zainud Tauhid Saadi, Vice Minister of Religious Affairs Republik of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Bambang Sudibyo, MBA, Basnas Chairman, Dr. Anda Hajah Kofifa Indar Parawansa, represented by Pak Bayu, Professor Kamarudin Amin, Director of General Islamic Community, Professor Dr. Muhammad Nasih, Rector of Erlangga University Surabaya, represented by Vice Rector, Professor Dr. Ali Gufron Mukti, Rector of Trisakti University Jakarta, Dr. Izi Tohor, Director of Zakat and Wakaf Department, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi, Director of Basnas Center of Strategic Studies, and also distinguished speakers, invited guests, and all participants of the fourth ICONZ. I am Eleonora Sofilda as the moderator of plenary session today. It's my pleasure to see you here, even by online. Welcome all of you to this day. This seminar is conducted by Center of Strategic Studies Basnas, Ministry of Religious Affairs of Republik Indonesia, Erlangga University, and Trisakti University. First of all, I briefly introduce to all our guest speakers today for the themes for this session, the specific themes is the role of Islamic social finance in promoting inclusive development in time of the new normal COVID-19. For this plenary session, we have four speakers. First speaker is Prof. Dr. Raditya Sukmana, and the second speaker is Professor Dr. Abdul Ghafar Ismail, and the third Muhammad Lawal Maidoki, and the fourth Mr. Azim Kitwai from UK. Before the presentation begins, we know the regulation how to the presentation will be going on for today. Maybe we divide it by two speakers first. The first speaker is Prof. Dr. Raditya Sukmana and Prof. Dr. Abdul Ghafar Ismail, and then after that, Muhammad Lawal Maidoki and Mr. Azim Kitway. Maybe I will read about the CV from Professor Dr. Raditya Sukmana. Very long CV. I led to go sleep yesterday, Prof. Raditya Sukmana, because so many pages for the CV, but I tried to press about the CV from Professor Dr. Raditya Sukmana. Professor Dr. Raditya Sukmana is professor and lecturer in Economic Faculty, Universitas Erlangga, Surabaya, and also he is a member of the Syariah Advisory Board Bank Pembiayaan Syariah Mitra Mandiri Sukses until now. Professor Dr. Raditya Sukmana already got his professor very young, maybe around 43 years old. Prof. Raditya Sukmana got his professor, and then Prof. Raditya has the formal education, graduate from International Islamic University Malaysia for the PhD, and then for the Master of Arts in Economics from Georgia State University, USA, and then Bachelor of Economics from Faculty of Economics Erlangga University, Surabaya, Indonesia, majoring in Financial Management. He is also expertise in Wakaf Management, Islamic Capital Market, Islamic Microfinance, Islamic Economics, and Islamic Banking, and so many activities as training of trainers. And Dr. Raditya already got award as the first winner in the paper competition Forum Riset Perbankan Syariah, and then best paper for the first international conference of call papers Wakaf on economic growth. And then Prof. Raditya also write for the few books about the endowment fund regulation and effective governance, fundamental of Islamic money and capital market, and so on. I think it takes time to read so many experience for Professor Dr. Raditya Sukmana. And then for the second speakers, he's the special speakers from us and always help us to share his knowledge. Professor Abdul Ghafar Ismail from Malaysia. Now, Professor Abdul Ghafar Ismail, Professor of Islamic Financial Economics in University Science Islam Malaysia. And then before join with the USIN, Prof. Ghafar is also Professor of Islamic Financial Economics, University Islam Sultan Syarif Ali Brunei Darussalam, as he already has head of Research Division Islamic Research and Training Institute Islamic Development Bank, and Prof. Ghafar already as Professor of Islamic Financial Economics School of Economics in University Kebangsaan Malaysia. His education, Master and PhD from University of Southampton, and then Prof. Ghafar also, I think, so many experience in teaching experience. And then Prof. Ghafar has professional affiliation as a member Association of Sharia Advisor in Islamic Finance, member International Association of Economics in UK, and then others country. I think Prof. Ghafar so many published his article and books, and then Prof. Ghafar also has consultancy services, and then he also as a visiting professor in so many universities in the world, I think, just like Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei Darussalam, and then UK, maybe USA. So I think that's it for the CV from our speakers. And then this time is for Professor Dr. Raditya. Professor Dr. Raditya will present about Islamic social finance on remote village. Professor Raditya?
Yes, Dr. Eleonora, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can. So, time is yours, Prof. Dr. Raditya. I think you only have 10 up to 15 minutes to present your material.
Okay.
Time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Eleonora. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you are all hear me clearly. All praise be to Allah. We seek blessing for Him, and salawat and salam let us send to our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Rasulullah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Honorable Vice Minister, Religious Affairs, the Honorable Basnas Chairman, and all other distinguished from Ministry of Religion, and also from Basnas and from Universitas Trisakti and Ustaz Erlangga and all participants. My topic for today is on Islamic social finance on remote village, a proposal. If you see the picture, 3 pictures in front of you right now, on the left, there are students who wants to go to the village, who wants to go to the schools, and they have to cross the bridge at this type of bridge. Because what? Because the fixed bridge, which is from cement and so on, is broken. And then they have to go to the other place, crossing the river, getting educations. And this is the conditions in one particular area in Indonesia. Can you see the encourage of those students who want to learn about the educations, who want to get the educations, right? And on the right, I think many of us also have the similar conditions in a very remote area, whereby very limited sources, limited funds to develop or to build or to establish a proper building for educations. My presentation will be on the model or the applied proposal model combinations of zakat and wakaf to cater all of these things, educations and also health and also basic infrastructures. So if you look into the conditions of Indonesia, I think some of the other country in underdeveloped country, Muslim majority, also has the similar, quite similar condition, whereby some area are very big in economic transactions, like in Java, in Indonesia, and outside Java, right, is maybe like behind. Also, Western and also Eastern, also we have a different type of economic transactions, and also the difference between city and village. So if you look at the percentage of underdeveloped village, you see that 28.2% out of this village are categorized as underdeveloped, right? And the challenge is that around this village, for three villages is without electricity. How can we do? How can the zakat and wakaf contribute to this kind of village? Now, the underdeveloped village or disadvantaged village is the criteria is a rural area, less or no area facility, the low people income, economic poor, low community production, education is also low. So how can we support this kind of area? So underdeveloped village, normally the banking could not go for this village. Because of what? Because it's not feasible. Because of banking needs collateral, right? And very difficult to be provided by people in this village, and lack of sufficient human resource. Banking has a limited human resource. that they prefer to go to the surrounding people in the city. So wakaf and zakat fit for this purposes. And also, if zakat and wakaf support this kind of underdeveloped village, of course, the SDGs will be supported, implemented, applied in Indonesia. So we know that there is a different characteristic between zakat and wakaf, right? So zakat has 8 asnaf, wakaf is flexible, right? But how to integrate the model, how to have an integrated model of zakat and wakaf. So before I talk about the model that I'm going to propose, I'm going to also give you some information that in Indonesia, there is a new policy by Minister of Education and Culture. That is a freedom learning. Policy by Ministry of Education is that the student is allowed to study outside campus to have the real experience of learning for 1 year. So it is credited, and also the student is expected to solve the real problem in society. So if we connect the dots, right, between the underdeveloped village and also the policy, new policy by Minister of Education, we can do more, right? So this is my model, right? On the left, this is a BMT. BMT is Islamic Cooperative. Islamic Cooperative in my model here has a license of managing the cash wakaf, right? And also Muzaki and Wakif, right? And also this BMT and Muzaki and Wakif give finance, right, to Amil and Nazir. And also the university provide with the freedom learning project can provide the students to do the project, right? So this all, right, will contribute to the local government village, which is underdeveloped. Underdeveloped, like I mentioned, they are lacking of health facility, they are lacking of educational facility, they are lacking of basic infrastructure, right? So in this case, in order to build the infrastructure of physical assets, we can go with the cash wakaf, right? The wakaf, which is raising by the Nazir, can build solar panel, right, to get the electricity, or the windmill also to get the electricity. And all these physical assets, the electricity will then be distributed to the people surrounding within the village. And that is not for free, but they have to pay, the people has to pay very small amount of money, just at least cover the maintenance costs of these solar panels. They can, Nazir can create can create a profit, but the profit will not be much, right? So, because this solar panel and windmill has to have the source for maintenance, right? And this can cover by cash wakaf, and also the health facility, the building for the clinics, the health clinics, also the schools to get the educations can be developed from zakat. And this can be developed with the wakaf for this health facility and educational facility. But for operational expenses, hospital and also fakir miskin, they need food, they need water, and also the students and the teachers. Since these are all within the underdeveloped village, so this must be categorized as asnaf, fisabilillah, fakir miskin, and so on. So zakat can provide all these things, right? So if we talk about the physical assets, then it can be supported by cash wakaf. But if we go for the operational expenses, like food, like scholarship, or free educations, like payment for the salary of the teachers and salary for the doctors and nurse, can be covered by zakat. So it needs collaborations of Amil, Nazir, and campus to create efficient program. In this case, students play a role as a project manager together with the Amil and Nazir, or be a co-project manager. Because the aim of freedom learning is that this student has to be able to manage the need of this village, which is health facility, educations, and also the infrastructures, and the needs of the Amil and Nazir to distribute their sources of to distribute zakat and wakaf. And also at the end, student has to make a report to the campus as part of the project, and it is equivalent to 1 or 2 courses in the campus. As a core and then infrastructure and operational by wakaf, local government will provide the local information and relevant human resource. And also the student can also support for the well, for those of the village who are lacking of water. Wakif can raise funds to build the well, and then the project manager student with the with the Nazir can be manager to manage this well, and this well later on will be distributed to the people with a very low price, with a cheap price or with subsidy to the people within village. Okay, collaborations also for empowerment for those of the people within the underdeveloped village who are in a micro enterprise. So this collaboration is needed. BMT give financing based on cash wakaf. Right? Student assist with the applied management, like marketing, like operational management, and so on. First contract can be Qardul Hasan. Because what? Because don't put the burden to the micro enterprise. Later on, when they go move up to the small enterprise, then this BMT can apply for Murabaha and Ijaro. So the first thing is the Qardul Hasan, and second, Murabaha, Ijaro, and so on. This collaboration is important because BMT can give financing, and for the assistantship, it can be from the students. Of course, the students will be supervised by their lecturers. So what is the advantage? The advantage of this is that helping underdeveloped village without government funding. So this is without government funding because we can go this by the combinations of wakaf and zakat. And development of education, health, infrastructure sector, like the one I mentioned, the education building, the health facility, and the solar panel, and the windmill for the electricity. And student, when they go for the manager, so they will have the real learning experience. So it solves the problem of the society, right? Wakaf, and also the other advantage is that Wakif can distribute their wakaf. So Wakif have more alternative options where to donate the wakaf asset. Muzaki can also distribute their zakat because some of the underdeveloped village is having a fakir and miskin. So lecturers can also do research and community service, not only for the research, but also the community service. And this research, since now we are in the SDGs era, so the research is very much important later on to see whether the project combinations of the Nazir, Amil, and also the campus can have a fruitful result to develop the society, and whether the lecturer will see whether those programs will support how many elements of the SDGs. And in this case, I found that we can help for number 1, no poverty, right? Because zakat help for the poor and needy. Zero hunger also. Good health and well-being because we build the clinic, quality education, we build schools. Clean energy, also we build the panel. Panel is from the sun, right? And decent work and economic activity from the combinations of the BMT and also the campus. So I think that is my presentation, Ibu Eleonora. I have 30 minutes, so sorry very much. I extend 3 other minutes. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Radit, for giving such informative and interesting presentation. I try to find important point. You try to build model how to zakat and wakaf contribute to village community, how to integrate it model zakat and wakaf, and you integrate it with the policy, government policy about the freedom learning. And we also know about the Campus Merdeka, maybe the Campus Merdeka about the freedom learning. And then you already show us integrated model with international goals, sustainable development goals, SDGs, to decrease poverty with the empowerment of all stakeholders. Maybe the participant can prepare for the question for Prof. Radit, and then the question will show on the board. Now we have to the second speakers, the very special speakers to me. That's Prof. Ghaffar Ismail, Professor of Islamic Financial Economics, Faculty of Economics and Muamalat, University Science, Islam Malaysia. Prof. Ghaffar will present it about political priorities in promoting zakah and inclusive development during COVID-19. Prof. Ghaffar, time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Nora, and distinguished guests and also speakers. Thank you very much to Basnas and also Mr. Elanga and Sakti for inviting me to join in this conference. So I will discuss on the issues related to inclusive development, but to be precise, I would like to talk on the political priority in promoting zakat as inclusive development tools during COVID-19. So beside the topic that been suggested by the organizer, but the other reason why I want to discuss on this topic is one, because of the this COVID-19, we are looking for policy prescription, not only policy prescription, but also looking for the solution for the impact of COVID-19, and also looking at what have been done by the policymakers, especially the politicians, in relation to promoting zakat as inclusive. So I will highlight, my presentation will highlight on, I think I'm sure that you know about the inclusive development, where these words, inclusive development, also imply social, ecological, and also personal inclusiveness. And inclusive development has its root in different discipline approach, because different discipline, discipline come up with a different definition and also different approach in tackling the inclusive development. And inclusive development is used to counter exclusive capitalist approach. And the fourth one is inclusiveness, refer to show to how access to and allocation of basic resources that can be organized. Okay? And development refer to ecological and social or economic well-being, which is currently we are looking at this term, inclusive development, to solve the problem of economic well-being. Okay? So I'm trying to discuss this first as introduction. The term inclusive development, this is to remind us that this term only emerged in the 21st century, and also then been adopted in series of scholarly and policy documents. If we look at many studies and also many publications and also policy document, already include or incorporate inclusive development when they are talking about the development of a particular country. And also, those can be traced to different concepts in different disciplines, as I mentioned earlier, because it depends on the contribution of all stakeholders, and also if we can reach all, as discussed by Prof. Nitya, about the project that can reach all people, right? Especially the people in the rural area. So how can these inclusive development tools can reach the people that are not reached by the formal or mainstream? So some see inclusive development as only combining social aspect with economic growth, but they forgot about the political approach. So normally when we talk about inclusive growth, we talk only about the social aspect,
what is the social aspect of inclusive growth, and also combined with economic growth. But we forgot about the political approach in dealing with the inclusive development. Okay, so what is actually the political approach here, which I mentioned here as a political priorities? Okay, we define inclusive development instead of focusing on social well-being and protecting the ecosystem service on by redefining political priorities. So in this paper or in this presentation, I would like to redefine political priorities. What are the political priorities that need to be redefined? So the political priorities that we define only cover on the policy that been introduced by the government of the day. Okay, but whereas we have to look into other aspect political priority in terms of our constitutional rule or our rules. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to look at political priorities from the constitutional rule. Okay. So I look at the political priority that can be searched in our constitution based on a sample of 57 OIC countries and 1 non-OIC countries. This is purposely I took 1 non-OIC member countries, because basically OIC countries, majority of the people are Muslim, not only Muslim, but they also recognize Islam as the national religion. So based on that, I want to look at in this study is because the political priority might be rooted from our rules or constitutional rule. Okay, so this is the basic. So the rules of the issues in dealing with, let's say for example, the issue of in some countries they don't use the zakat or they don't use the sadaqah or wakaf to overcome the problem or the impact of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. But in other countries they use that zakat, wakaf, and also the sadaqah as the tools overcome or to solve the problem of the impact of pandemic 19. Okay, so by looking at a sample of 57 OIC country and 1 non-OIC, this is what I got. What the constitution says about the zakat and also other social finance instrument. Okay, from my studies, I got only 8 countries that recognize zakat, wakaf, or sadaqah in their constitution. And very unfortunate for Indonesia, for your Undang-Undang 1945, you don't mention about that. Okay. For example, in Brunei, let's look at in Brunei. In Brunei, all revenues, Article 58, all revenues and money be paid into a consolidated fund. But in relation to zakat, Article 69 of the state constitution says that the provision shall not be applicable to Muslim revenues and fund. What does it mean? Meaning that they have a different fund. One is consolidated fund, which cover all revenue money. And the other one is another fund. They call it the Muslim revenue and funds. They put separately. And that is discussed together under the subject of finance, okay, finance matter in the constitution. In Egypt, okay, the state budget include all its revenue and expenditure without exception. This is discussed in the ruling system of the country in Egypt. And the state shall encourage the charitable endowment system, meaning that in Egypt, the state constitution recognizes the role of charitable endowment.
Prof. Gafar. Prof. Gafar. I think Prof. Gafar, okay. Prof. Gafar, I think lost connection with his wifey. Maybe I can continue with Prof. Raditya Sukmana again about this one from my question about what already you submit in your paper, Prof. Radit. Are you sure that the model can work in Indonesia? Remember, we have so many villages in Indonesia, and then so many programs, just like Bank Wakaf Mikro by OJK, BMT, it not work in Indonesia. How can you share for the successful of your model? Maybe can you explain for us first?
Yes.
Before the audience ask you with the question.
Right. Thank you for the good questions, Ibu Laura. With regard to whether it is feasible or not, I think, well, it has to be first. I think we need to get together all the parties, like local government and also the campus, the AMIL, and also the Nazir, to get together and choose the the village which is underdeveloped, and then let's discuss how to develop that village. And with that discussions, I think we will know whether the program is feasible or not. But so far, I don't think I see any difficulty in implementing this program, because the underdeveloped villages are there, and then people have money. You know, Indonesia is a World Giving Index #1. The most, the first philanthropist country is Indonesia, and the amount of zakat collected are so huge, as well as cash wakaf collections. Is this a matter of how we can efficiently distribute to get the most impactful aspect of the society to develop the economic development? I don't think any. Of course, we need to have more discussions and feasibility study, but I don't think it is difficult to do. That's why I put in my title is a proposal, right? It needs to go for other steps. Thank you very much, Ibu Nora.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Radit, very clear to explain. And then I think Prof. Gafar already come back again, or no?
There's one question for me in front of us right now. I just want to answer, Ibu Nora, if you don't mind.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, there's Associate Prof. Suhaimi. How are you, Prof? Long time no see. You asked about why the need to involve micro enterprise in the rural project. Is not that these enterprises are for profits. Yes, of course. So I don't think any false that we go for the empowerment that need for profit for micro enterprise. So that's why this is the importance of the role of the students as a manager. Can he or she, as a student, connect the micro enterprise in the rural village and the buyer in the city? Can he do that? Can he, as a student, can he or she, as a student, promote the product of this micro enterprise to be sold with the gadget, with the information technology that we have right now? Can he or not? If he is able to do so, then he needs to report that in the final reports to the campus, and that will be another strategy that can be done and can be replicated in other places. It's my answer, Dr. Prof. Suhaimi. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Radit. Maybe any question? Prof. Gafar already come back again?
I don't think so. Prof. Gafar, we are still contacting Prof. Gafar, but he is not in this room yet.
Okay, how about the
Yeah,
other?
there is a raise hand in the participants.
Adam Ali, Indonesia Zakat Research for Prof. Radit. So maybe Prof. Radit can directly to answer.
This is very good questions from Adam Ali. Regarding your model, what will be the greatest challenge in its implementations? Well, as I mentioned, there is a campus, there is Amil Zakat, and there is Nazir Wakaf, and there is a local government. I think first thing that we need to be in the similar frequency is that we need to have a same vision, right? Especially Amil and Wakaf. Hopefully that this model will see my observation up until now is that in Indonesia as well as I observe in Malaysia is that the zakat institutions and wakaf institutions go by themselves individually. I rarely found any integrated model or integrated cooperations between zakat institutions and wakaf institutions go for specific purposes in which a specific area is covered by wakaf and specific area is covered by wakaf. So far, I could not find that example. So my answer for the greatest challenge is that can we sit together, Amil and Zakat, and release all the egoism within the respective institutions, and the vision should be the same, that to develop the underdeveloped village. So I think that's my answer, Ibu Nora.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Radit. Maybe other question? Maybe for
it's enough, Dr. Nora.
No question, even at the chat.
We have Mr. Lawal Maidoki with us now, and we can proceed.
We can start or continue for the next presenter, right? Okay. Okay. For Prof. Raditya, I think is at the end of the session for the question and answer. Thank you very much, Prof. Raditya. And then we still waiting for the Prof. Gafar to come back, but we have other speakers here. Muhammad Lawal Maidoki from Nigeria. Mr. Muhammad Lawal Maidoki already come. Okay, I will read about the CV. Muhammad Lawal Maidoki, Executive Chairman Sokoto State Zakat and Wakaf Commission, or SOZECOM in Nigeria. He also Vice President Board of Trustee Global Union, GZU, in Sudan. And then also Deputy Secretary General in West Africa World Zakat Forum, or WZF, and then member on Indonesia member BOT, Zakat Sakada and Foundation in Nigeria too. Now, Mr. Muhammad Lawal Maidoki, born in December 1962. And then already finished from postgraduate diploma in public policy and administration, and then so many activity already did by Mr. Maidoki. So time is yours for the next speakers, Muhammad Lawal Maidoki, with the topic, the role of Islamic social finance in promoting inclusive development in time of new normal COVID-19. Time is yours, Mr. Muhammad Lawal, and you have around 10 up to 15 minutes to present your material. Time is yours. Thank you. we already connected with the Mr. Muhammad Lawal Maidoki?
Yes, we all have him here.
Okay.
He just left just now because technical issue. I think he will come back soon.
Okay.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
الله الرحمن الرحيم وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. First of all, Mr. Moderator, distinguished brothers and sisters, our honorable guest here, leaders, and most especially leaders in Indonesia and leaders of the Basnas who are the organizers of the fourth ICONZ. I begin by greeting you, including the final discussants, with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Having said that, I would like to say Alhamdulillah. We apologize for any inconveniences. Here we are still about 30 minutes or thereabout to Subuhi. So most of us have been asleep until this time. But Alhamdulillah, many of our members from the Sazekom have been on with you from the beginning to this time. Secondly, Alhamdulillah, this is the third time I am opportune to participate in the ICONZ. The first one was the one I held in Jogja, and the second one, the last one, held in Bandung. And today, by the will of God, we are on a virtual conference. Furthermore, I would like to, inshallah, say the little that we are going to share. My predecessors have spoken extensively, and I believe they have said much about the topic of discussion. The role of Islamic finance in promoting inclusive development in time of new normal, as we have in the slides, we intend to briefly outline the conceptual review, the role of Islamic social finance, especially Africa and Nigeria, and then also the new normal, which Alhamdulillah, the Nigerian perspective, and then the impact of the new normal on Sozekom activities here in Sokoto State. Therefore, having discussed that, we shall also look into the Sozekom response to new normal for inclusive development. Are you with me? And then issues of challenges as well as recommendations. Now, I would like to say, just as an introduction, to also follow suit to my predecessors, that it has been said time without number that over 375 million people were estimated as a figure of people living below the 1.9 poverty line. Then also the poverty rate in the OIC, which are mostly populated by the Muslims, is between 0.2 to 62%. Therefore, also we would like to acknowledge that poverty is a major bottleneck to inclusive development. In fact, the OIC have made some interventions, but unfortunately, I would like to say this program, which the OIC has made some intervention in health, education, agricultural development, and all this made to reduce poverty among the member states, particularly in so many social finance, so many inclusive development, and also boosting our activities. But unfortunately, this has not been very much utilized by the has been introduced and reintroduced and being propagated by different institutions worldwide, including our local institutions here. As I've said earlier, the Muslim population, which is predominant in the sub-Saharan African country, where we are also estimated that the youth alone in the 2050 to come are going to be more than 450 million. Yet this inclusive development is not being felt very much. However, it will also, be discussed in this paper, the role of Islamic social finances in ensuring inclusive development during the COVID-19 in the context of Nigeria, and also showcase some of the activities of SOSECOM, as I mentioned earlier, geared towards inclusive development. Distinguished brothers and sisters, I would like to say, in our own understanding of the concept of social finance, it is an approach which actually is investing and managing funds with the aim of mitigating problems in the society. This as far as March 2016. While the Islamic social finance institution providing financial services to vulnerable groups in the society, that is to improve their standard in living. And it also comprises main institutions such as Zakat, Waqf, and Islamic social finance. It is findings. The issue of development has different perception, and the scholars try to give different meaning. As according to Todaro, development is not completely economic phenomenon, but rather a multidimensional process involving the organization and the orientation of the entire economic and social system. Therefore, also development is also considered by some as a process of improving the quality of all human lives. However, when we talk of inclusive development, a multidisciplinary term is what we can now consider inclusive development to be, especially in the 21st century. Today, it has been adopted by scholars in the field and some of the experts. However, this conceptual inclusive development discuss or try to buttress that this include the marginalized people in this also some of the sectors in the countries in aspect which actually the human well-being as well as the environmental sustainability and the empowerment. This is what some of the scholars feel is what is termed as inclusive development. That is, many of our sectors are really not left out, unlike the other system that has been important to know that some argue or that discuss about the exclusive resultant, and some are so impoverished and becoming richer and richer by the day. Inclusive development is also nowadays used as an indicator to inclusive involvement of first of the poor in the scheme of things arising from policy and also in this also citizens of ancestors. I would like now to little discuss about the new normal with respect to inclusive development and the Nigerian experience. The first incidence of COVID-19 was on the 16th of December 2020. COVID-19 pandemic actually created a new normal which necessitated one. At the beginning, when it all started, the whole thing that is not known but it has now come to have been infected or have caused to deal with any self-isolation. This is a very new thing that has now also become wearing of masks. By both local and wearing of mask almost by April. The closure of stations, the closure of many gathering places and activities, and then also closing of the international borders, which has negatively impacted to the lives of many, especially those whom we believe should be part of those in the inclusive development. There is also the issue of banning any form of gathering, including some litigation in some other countries. Then closure of offices, closure of banks, closure of schools. As I'm speaking to you, in Nigeria, still offices on grade level 01 to grade level 12 are still asked to remain in their houses and work at home. Up to this moment, I am speaking to you. Therefore, the new normal affects all sectors of Nigerian economy, vis-a-vis Africa and the world over. And then the pandemic exposes weakness of us or our system, both in health and also some other strategic plan in operation in terms of emergency and the general coordination. I provide a small information at the right-hand side to show you that as at day before yesterday, although in Nigeria we have not yet prayed Subuhi now, so we count ourselves as still yesterday, but you can see we have about 59,455 cases so far, out of which 50,951 has been discharged. We have total deaths of 1,113, and then we have about 538,000 tested cases. So the small figure or result is given by the NCDC, who are the main vehicle concerned with this issue and eradicating it within Nigeria. Nigeria is currently about 200 million in population, but so far this is what we have. We are still recording cases from one state to another, but I can say people have now started to understand or appreciate the situation, and we cannot continue to remain at home without any job to eat or to drink, especially those who are in the private sectors. Therefore, the new normal indeed has posed a lot of challenge to lives, and the inclusive development is more needed, as Africa has made some palliatives, some direct, some also injecting into different kind of business. But notwithstanding, there is still need for us to look at other issues of how we can really improve the situation, depending on every nation and the available opportunities that actually have to be considered to make life better, especially for those who are living in the rural areas or whom the social, inclusive finance is really most needed. The new normal actually also impacts many of the Zakat institutions. I will only cite the Sokoto State Zakat and Endowment Commission, SOZECO, as an example. But what affect us, affect almost most of the African countries' Zakat, whether government or private Zakat institutions. That is, there is really issues of some advantages and also some challenges. Like, for example, let me mention the few advantages. Some of these advantages include what we are currently doing now. That is more virtual events, conferences, seminars, exhibitions, meetings, which if it is physical, like this conference we are holding, maybe 3, 4, 5 of us may be able to attend from Sokoto. But now many of us, not only in Sokoto State, but in Nigeria and many other places, are participating and they are benefiting. These are some of the, it saved cost, it saved time, it saved a lot of things. Then there's also access to the issue of, team building, of course, through virtual activities, which is bringing us more closer, but at far. and then there was also use of technology. Before the new normal today, we are less using the rate at which we have learned the importance of using technology during this pandemic or during this new normal is unlike what we have previously. The other aspect also is that indeed the pandemic has imposed some challenges on us. Our inability to distribute zakat physically as we do before, both within the rural and also within the urban areas. Our inability to also collect zakat as usual, and then also, of course, the reduction in the zakat collected. Although because of some intervention from government and some individual nationally, and the Sokoto State towards the end of this presentation. And then on the issue of the use of technology, we feel as a part of our response, that is the responses of Sokoto State Zakat and the Endowment Commission, is that we have created some educational programs, just like what others have done, what business have done in a bigger way. We have done ours, in a smaller way according to our capacity. We have made some empowerment work-of activities, more health program, more shelter program, and also provision of relief material, as I mentioned earlier. With respect to the use of technology, still on the new normal, as far as the inclusive development is concerned, so DECOM has taken a giant step in digitalizing its social finance functions. Like, for example, in the vulnerable groups, we have been able to collect across our 86 districts more than 300,000 registered beneficiaries, which before now, we don't have it in that manner. And then we have also employed one of our newly Islamic banks, like the Taj Bank, whom are busy in the registration, creating BBS numbers, and also opening account of such vulnerable. In fact, it is a landmark achievement that we can now know from the grassroots our poor and the poorest of the poor. We also try to encourage the local debate, essay competition, quiz competition, to all bring about the issue of inclusive development in Islamic social finance. Similarly, we are upgrading our website, if you look at it, to include cash, and waqf collection at the same time. We are also developing we are developing a backend that will make a cash and zakat collection function, which before now we really don't have. But as a baby zakat institution, not like as old as Basnas and some other very old zakat institutions, we are also trying to go along with education and the provision of scholarship opportunities, which alhamdulillah, despite the pandemic, we are trying to coordinate from some of the offers given by Basnas, some of the like Zakat Kedah in Indonesia and Asia, and then some other countries. We also have other issues like I mentioned earlier, the debate and other things, and as well as the empowerment. And we have increased on waqf activities alongside the zakat, and this is complementing our zakat activities indeed. we made an entrepreneurship approach, and then we are making headways in trying to establish catching the younger ones in primary school, in secondary schools, and also in our local peace centers, so that we now redefine the course of our involvement and also mobilization towards understanding the Zakat and its values, and then why it is so important to really amplify and hold on to the Zakat institution, because it is all encompassing. It brings about social development in any society that Zakat is practiced. We firmly believe that with the acquired skills that we are giving to the younger ones, inshallah, they will create successful business as we are mapping. Then on the long run, some of the vulnerables, as just you have in Indonesia, changing mustahik to muzaki, inshallah, through the Baitul Mal wa Tamwil, that has also been accepted in Sokoto. The government has already even asked the office of the Attorney General to come out with a draft bill or law which will be passed to the House of Assembly and will be assented by the governor as soon as the process is completed. Then the issue during the new normal, we also look at our level of empowering the petty traders and also evolve so many Waqf initiatives, such as the Kasbu initiative. I think the slides next will show some of the distribution we had and some of the initiatives we have, just in a summary form. The food and equipment or tools that we have been able to provide to some of the locals in the remote areas to bring about the social inclusive development. The issue of Kasbu is another introducce.
Your time, 3 minutes left. Your time.
Okay, inshallah, I'll round up on the issue of the health programs. We have tried to incorporate so many health activities, and then also to bring about understanding of the new normal, especially with the pandemic. No one knows when pandemic will end, but we have made some good move to educate our populace to appreciate the challenge, and then to cooperate with the health institution, the government, to understand some of the policies of the government, especially in trying to do away with. The next slides show that our efforts now in trying to create, a hospital that will also serve as one of the health institutions to assist toward this direction. The other one also in the issue of shelter, which we are also collaborating with some institutions like the Qatar Charity, and then the issue of also providing a shelter to the vulnerable, especially the IDPs. We have also in another slide showing the distribution of the COVID-19 palliatives. The limitation, of course, are part of our challenges of inadequate funds, as usual, to everyone, and then also trying to educate the population, staff. We would have gone far in our collaboration with the business of Indonesia after signing the MOU, but unfortunately, until the situation improves, we may not be able to. So lastly, I want to suggest, one, that it will be good for all Islamic social finance all over the world to quickly study the present situation of the new normal and re-strategize for the future. Apart from this conference, it will trigger, this discussion trigger so many things. So therefore, there is the need to really look into it, and World Zakat Forum should also lead all other institutions toward this. Then to move to actually meet the target. Thank you very much for presentation of today, because the time is just very, it's a different time between you and us, but alhamdulillah, we have been able to, Allah will take away the pandemic very soon, so that activities will return, that will witness. Inshallah, look forward to seeing you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Maidoki. Mr. Maidoki now in Nigeria. And I think still early morning in Nigeria now, Mr. Maidoki. And thank you for interesting presentation. You explained very clear about the condition in Nigeria after new normal COVID-19. Thank you very much. And then for all participants can prepare for the question for Mr. Maidoki next after Prof. Gafar will continue his presentation. Times is yours, Prof. Gafar.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dora. Sorry for the internet interruption. Just to recap what have been already presented. So I'm actually just to remind myself and also the participant about the topic of my presentation is about the political priority in promoting zakat as inclusive development tools during COVID-19. So if I can recall my presentation before this, that during the COVID or the effect of the COVID-19 crisis, we are looking for the policy prescription and also we are looking for policy response. So in this case, we are looking at the policy response from the zakat as a policy prescription that can overcome the issues of the inclusive development. So this is the area that I'm trying to explain that in this paper. So my issue, I think, already been touched by Brother Lawal on this definition or the concept of inclusive development. But just to recap what have been discussed, what have been presented before this, one of the ecosystem for inclusive development is the legal rules or constitutional rules. In this perspective, from there, how can we define that? Because the rules are actually come up from the what have been discussed or they've been presented in the parliament or in the assembly to come up with the rules. So then it becomes the priority of the politician to tackle the issues. Okay. So as I have been discussed before this, that I use a sample of several countries in several member country of OICs, and we found out that all the 8 countries of OIC recognize that zakat as the tools, okay, as the tool for development intervention. Okay, it happened in Brunei, it happened in Egypt, it happened in Gambia, and also it happened in Jordan, Libya, and one of the non-OIC member countries, that is Singapore, and others like Malaysia, Pakistan, and Yemen. Okay, so if we look from this constitutional rules, okay, we can conclude several conclusions from this constitution. Okay, one is, if you look at the constitution, says that yes, this has been practiced by many countries. The government revenues, we have a standard list of government revenues. What are the standard list of government revenues? The government revenues come from tax. Government revenue can come from non-tax, and the government revenue also non-revenue received. Okay, that many countries use this, which is based on a capitalist system. That's why in the earlier discussion I mentioned that how can we use this? This suggestion to use the zakat as intervention policy, that we can move away from the capitalist system. Okay. And another one is what are our finding? Main finding is government revenues. Government can use tax, government non-tax, and revenues. If the government don't have that enough revenue, this is what they currently been practiced by many countries when they have this fiscal stimulus to overcome the issues of pandemic crisis. So they borrow. This is one option. They issue suku, they issue bond to support or as a tools to support or to overcome the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, but as have been discussed in our table or in several sample of several OIC member countries, the revenue can also come from the resources. From they call it the Muslim fund or Islamic religious revenues. Okay, we have zakat, we have sadaqah, we have the wakaf. So these three main elements or these three main instruments can be used as the expenditure of the government. So beside the tax, non-tax and non-revenue tax, so now the government can rely on these sources of revenue that can be used to overcome the impact of pandemic 19. Okay, COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so this is what we can look at from this. But what about the countries, those countries who don't have this provision or these rules in their constitution? So for me, this is the issues of the priority. If we have this rule in our constitution, mean that we have to work on that. I mean, we can use that tools as our policy prescription. But if we don't have that rules in our constitution, meaning that forget about it. It is not stated in the constitution. So meaning that I cannot use that, or maybe you can use that voluntarily. It's not a compulsory. So in this country, you see that it is a compulsory to use that because they are the sources of government revenues. Okay, so this is how we can, the policy makers in Muslim country can use this zakat, wakaf, and also sadaqah to overcome the impact of COVID-19. So now the final one is, this is my final slide, Dr. Nora, that if now we are looking at the new approach, what is our new approach? Our new approach is to combine is tax and also non-tax. Here I refer to zakat and also wakaf and sadaqah. They can be used as a new approach to overcome the problem of or the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. You can use that. So meaning that we include that, before we don't include that instrument in our policy prescription. Now we can include that as a policy prescription of those countries. So for me, is the basic premise here is we have a constitutional rules related to this instrument where we can overcome the issues of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. This is very important. So maybe this is become the priority of the policymakers in that country to use that instrument to overcome the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. So with that, thank you very much, Dr. Nora. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Gafar. We do understand we still have problem with the technology, even
yeah.
Okay, maybe for the next time you can share for us or the student in Indonesia about the model that you argue about different impacts of new approach since public revenue such as tax and then change with the sedekah, zakat, and wakaf.
Yeah.
Maybe for the next agenda, Prof. Gafar, very interesting. Okay, thank you very much. And we're still waiting for the last speakers, and then he will join on 11:30. We have still has time around 6 minutes, so maybe we can show a question from Associate Professor Dr. Suhaimi from International Islamic University of Malaysia for Prof. Abdul Gafar. Maybe Prof. Abdul Gafar can answer about the question, how could political priority provide well-being of the people? Time is yours, Prof. Gafar.
Okay. First, we have two main terms there. One is political priority, and the other one is well-being of people. I think most of us already agree what is the term. What does this term means? Yeah? I mean the well-being of people. For example, our happiness, our income, our health. Okay, we are healthy or not, so it's considered as our well-being. Okay, so then how can we look at the political priorities? This is the priorities that you see that if you in this, I'm trying to say is that in this paper or in this studies that if you don't recognize, okay, if you don't recognize zakat, wakaf, and also the sedekah, or in this case, I refer to zakat only. If you don't recognize zakat in your constitution, meaning that we have 3 different branches of people or stakeholders in the country, right? The judiciaries, the legislators, and also the executive. So you produce rules that have been passed by the legislator, and the executive need to execute that. So the priority been given by the legislator to be implemented by the executive. It depends on the rules that been provided in our constitution. So if you don't have that rule, for me is if you don't have that rule, meaning that you don't make that rule as a mainstream activities. So meaning that if let's say zakat here, you don't put in our constitution, meaning that you don't work on that. So meaning that you look into tax, okay, or non-tax as your priority to provide the well-being of the people. So this is the I'm trying to look into that perspective. Okay, so the basic premise here is the rules. Okay, the constitutional rules that have been provided in our constitution that support the priorities of the politician and also the priorities to provide the well-being of our people.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Ghaffar. We still have 3 minutes. Maybe I saw Mr. Abu Bakar raise hand. Maybe Mr. Abu Bakar can give a question to Mr. Maldoki, maybe. Mr. Abu Bakar.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Waalaikumsalam. Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Ya. Assalamualaikum. Proceed Abu Bakar.
Muhammad Akbar or Abu Bakar.
My question is that how can Zakat institution help government to cope out the situation of COVID-19?
Mr. Abu Bakar.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, maybe Mr. Maldoki can answer for the question. Mr. Maldoki? Or Prof. Ghaffar maybe can...
I cannot hear that question. I'm not clear.
Okay.
Not clear. Anybody can, can remind me or can refresh me the question?
My question goes to, okay, I don't know. There's Vice Rector still here for the Vice Rector of University of Erlangga.
Oh, yeah.
As Dr. Eleonora, we actually have a question for Mr. Lawal Maidoki. And
okay.
our sister Anna Hidayana, you can present the question. Now you can share the screen for the question for Mr. Lawal Maidoki.
I can read, not to share, because Mr. Abu Bakar right. Mr. Abu Bakar question goes to Vice Rector.
Yes.
Question: how can Zakat institution help government to curb the situation of COVID-19?
Yeah, all right. So we would like to thank to Mr. Abu Bakar from Sazicom Nigeria, but our conversation is for Mr. Lawal Maidoki and Prof. Ghaffar. Before we continue with speaker from United Kingdom, Azim Kidwai, but yes, but actually we are now 11:30 and we will have Mr. Azim Kidwai now, inshallah. So we are still waiting for him.
Okay,
Yes.
so
we have
with
we have one question from our brother Cha Aman. He's from Indonesia, from Basnas. The question is for Mr. Lawal Maidoki. Yes, maybe Dr. Eleonora. Yes, this is the question.
Okay. Mr. Maidoki is still here. Mr. Lawal Maidoki is still here. We still connect with him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We can see him now.
Maidoki, there's a question for you. Not only the outbreak, currently Nigeria is expected to face recession. This also means that the number of mustahik, meanwhile the number of muzaki decrease. Is there any specific for Nigeria Islamic of social finance to overcome and assist the government during this situation? Maybe Mr. Lawal Maidoki can answer this question. Time is yours, Mr. Maidoki. Mr. Maidoki, turn off the video, maybe. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Maidoki.
Hello.
Hello, I already can.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I offer my Subuhi prayer. So we have just returned from praying. I can now hear you. What was the issue?
You can see on the screen, but the question.
I cannot read. Okay.
Okay, you can read the question.
Yeah, not only the outbreak currently in Nigeria is expected to face a bad recession. This also means that the number of mustahik increase truly, while the number of muzaki, while the number of muzaki decreases in there. Any specific strategy for Nigerian Islamic social finance to overcome and assist the government during this situation? Very true. The government, especially now, from the federal government down us to the state governments, there has been a lot of arrangement. And not only this, maybe there's also another challenge Nigeria is facing with respect to the flood, which is also ravaging some part of the world. And that has posed another danger, especially as you have rightly pointed out, the issue of mustahik. But we are trying now to combat that flood from that challenge now into opportunities. Why? Because already now the rainy season, season of rainfall has already started in the part of north near Niger Republic, down now to the central, and of course by the next month going down to the southern part of the country. So the federal government has first of all recognized that since most Nigerians, especially in the up north and in the central, are farmers. So the issue of farmers has really been very much on the center, because when you produce the food, you are increasing the muzaki. When you increase the food, you have reduced the extreme or absolute poverty in those areas or in the country as a whole. And the other intervention in the commercial aspect have also been in place so far. Honestly, the government of Nigeria has come up with so many interventions and palliatives that I think if adhered to, the so much recession expected will just be like the expected
time without the compromise of key values, which in Western settings are increasingly marketed as ethical, because you would see these three characteristics identified would typically meet most ethical financial profiles. And from a Muslim perspective, they're Islamic. And it's very important that we are proud of these structures. We see the value that they can bring. And I would personally say that we are increasingly active in promoting the role of zakat, of waqf, of sukuk, of these, what we see as wonderful vehicles of Islamic social finance to make the world a better place. For those of you that know London in the UK, or have seen some of the wonderful images of central London, one thing you may or may not know is much of the development in recent years that has been done in London has actually been done through Islamic finance. And because of the way that London planning laws are, typically there will be a charitable component as well. So we even see, even when it comes to direct investing, even in non-Muslim countries. So you'll be aware, nearly 10 years ago, we had the Olympics in the UK. The whole Olympic village was funded through Islamic finance. For those of you that would have seen the Shard, the tallest building in Europe, which stands in the city of London, again, this was funded through Islamic finance. So, but we're finding that increasingly we're not confident in promoting our value and what we're able to add to the world. If we can move on to the next slide, which is to reflect on how we need to consider ISF in the context of current challenges. So today, we see that there are a number of major challenges that is making the world increasingly polarized, where the poor are becoming poorer and the rich are becoming richer. So there's three key areas where at NZFW, we feel Islamic social finance has real value to add. Number one is excessive increases in untaxed wealth. So there's a number of stories. There's a really interesting report in Business Insider, which identifies how billionaires made another 637 billion in the first 90 days of coronavirus. Now, bearing in mind how 99% of the world, or 99.8% probably of the world, or 9%, with providing food, struggled with getting basic health care. This is actually a shocking circumstance. So we see one of the problems we have is a massive increase in untaxed wealth, where the rich get richer and they increasingly pay less on their wealth, especially in Western countries. We would have seen last week the story of Donald Trump, for example, paying $750 income tax 1 year and actually paying no income tax for 10 of the last 15 years. And yet he is a supposed billionaire. So we can see that this is something that is increasingly going in Western markets, but it's something of an opportunity for talking about zakat, talking about the fact that you may have a number of, let's say, wider social welfare systems in the UK. In fact, take the UK, for example, which would tax wealth at between 10, 20, and 30 and 40%, depending on your income bracket. But what we find in Western countries is the more you earn, the less you pay, because you are able to find lawyers that help you escape those taxes. However, a genuine wealth tax like zakat represents gives an opportunity to really challenge some of that, be at 2.5%, but it's better to have 2.5% of a billion than to have 20% of 100. So this is something that we see as a current challenge, but also a phenomenal opportunity for zakat agencies to speak about zakat, to speak about zakat as a wealth tax and its ability to empower its local communities. Number two is vast deregulation of employment laws. Number two is legal exploitation of labor. And the legal exploitation that we see globally. This is not something where we would say this is not something where in the past that was confined to the slave trade, but actually we have modern slavery now, which is just as strong in Western countries as it is in Eastern countries, but it has a different style. So, for example, maybe in the past, you would have seen in parts of Africa, there would have been exploitation from colonial powers in extracting sovereign African nations' wealth and its people into Western countries. Now it's done in a different way, where people are allowed to stay in their countries, but they're exploited through forced labor, like we've seen in China, like we see in so many countries where people are forced to work at zero pay, or at $1 a day, for example. Or even in the UK, for example, where in Ramadan this year, there was a very big story of how one of the largest fashion brands here was identified of paying its staff £3 an hour, £3 an hour. And bearing in mind the legal minimum here is about £9. So this again was being identified to be around modern slavery. Now, what that represents for us is actually an opportunity for Waqf. And why I say that is that when we have strong Waqf institutions, they're able to provide unrestricted finance towards lobbying for people like this. Waqf has, if you look throughout history, served Islamic civilizations very well in places like Spain and Turkey, where you saw strong community institutions emerge through Waqf being able to provide unrestricted finance for civil society. And finally, in this area, COVID itself has created much uncertainty the world over. Now, we feel that this is a wonderful opportunity to bring together people of different backgrounds to work together for solutions. So one of the things that we often struggle with is this idea of clash of civilizations, this idea of how Muslim minorities struggle in mainstream, but also in Muslim majority nations, where people of faith are increasingly at odds with people that are from the masses that are increasingly agnostic. So we find that something like Islamic social finance helps to build bridges, because it allows wealth to move between those that have to those that do not. And if you can attribute this movement to Allah and His Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam, and the sunnah that we have in so many social finance vehicles, be it Waqf, be it about paying Zakat, etc., then these are great finance vehicles, be it Waqf, be it about paying Zakat, etc., then these are great opportunities. So I wish to finish with our final slide before I take questions, which is what we call the accelerate model. And as you can see, the idea of accelerate is that there are ways to accelerate the impact aid can have. So accelerate is a model that we've been developing at NZF worldwide, which looks at three key things for any financial intervention, which is empowerment, emancipation, and enhancement. So we believe an accelerate model can be deployed in any circumstance. And it works like this. Number one, it's there to empower. So any social finance that is deployed has to be led on an investment-led approach. So it's equity over debt. And this is very important. Unfortunately, globally, we have seen that charitable funds, as they move from wealthier nations to less wealthier nations, unfortunately, they create a cerebral poverty and poverty of the mind as well, which means that there's a consistent dependency on remittances. This is, this ranges from different extremes globally, but we are currently working on a project in Somalia, for example, and 24% of Somalia's GDP is remittance, which is a phenomenal amount of money coming in from diaspora globally. So what we want to see is an empowerment-led approach, and that means that whenever you're looking at finance and financial deployment, you choose equity over debt. You choose, equity over charity, and this is to build partnerships, and this is to ensure that we see genuine delivery emerging. Number two is what we call emancipate, and this is very important because we believe that where Islam can bring value, it can bring it through the idea of financial emancipation. So instead of bringing people to a situation where they are dealing with compound interest, where you look at, for example, the major financial institutions of the world that provide quote-unquote bailout loans, etc., what they essentially do is they leave people stuck in debt for not just for years, but for generations. And I'm sure, unfortunately, what will be for centuries. So we believe that the philosophy of any financial intervention should be looking at how to improve liquidity through financial instruments. So really looking at genuinely building new wealth within communities. And for example, we believe that Waqf and Sukuk have a wonderful opportunity in these places. Number one, because they have consistently delivered in the Islamic civilization in the past. And number two, that now with the arrival of technology, they are much easier deployed. And that brings me to my last point, which is to enhance that all things that are currently being done from a social finance perspective, we need to enhance the quality of their intervention through embracing technology. There are so many technological tools now which allow you to deliver value. Let's say even 10 years ago, to launch, for example, a new charitable fund to raise money would have been a very traditional process. You go, you speak to the authorities, you register a charity, you then start trying to approach a bank, and then you start designing a fundraising campaign. You print leaflets, you print posters, you go into your community, you have tins for collecting cash. But the reality is, right now, for example, I'm in the UK. I just prayed my Fajr. It's just about to turn 6 a.m. If after this call I decided I wanted to do some fundraising to support this conference, for example, and make a contribution towards a COVID response to our esteemed speakers, number of initiatives that were mentioned in the previous session in Nigeria, I could do that within 10 minutes, or maybe even less, within 5 minutes. All I need is my email address and my bank details, and I could go on to GoFundMe, for example, create a campaign, and boom, we'll be live within 5 minutes. So we need to look at how we can use technology to enhance our traditional tools and improve access to our communities. And I think Africa has some great lessons to learn here. I've seen wonderful examples of real digitization of mobile-based financial transactions in East Africa. And I think there's some phenomenal learning to be taken from places like Somalia, for example, which would traditionally be seen as places where, we should just be, sending remittances and donating charity. But we should be looking at some really great learning there from how mobile payments can be used, how you can empower local people with cash through digital payments. So we need to look at how we can enhance what we're doing through embracing technology, through using AI, through using machine learning. And I'll finish with this point. One of the things that we're exploring in the UK, for example, where we have a domestic Zakat fund, where we have thousands of applicants applying for Zakat now, especially through COVID, is how we can introduce AI and machine learning to run through their application. So before somebody's Zakat application arrives at a Zakat worker, a social worker, to judge their application, we have processed maybe 20,000 applications or 15,000 applications over the last 10 years. If through AI, we could be scanning those and looking at what the value of this application is and what it should be awarded just through data, then we should be embracing that. So we've just set up a project to try and look at that and explore, as we build a new CRM, how we can embrace big data, embrace machine learning, and really start delivering enhanced value from our existing system. So this was what I wanted to speak about today. I don't know how the process works, if there's an opportunity for questions. And I just wanted to finish with say I appreciate the time and opportunity by the organizers and always the leadership that we've seen from Basnas and the whole team that's engaged with putting these wonderful opportunities together. So thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azim. Very interesting presentation. 3E, I am very interested with the 3E, empower, emancipate, and enhance, right, for the point. Okay. Once again, thank you very much. Mr. Azim is as a last speaker today. In Jakarta time now, we Zuhur time. Now the prayer time for the Zuhur. Maybe we still have time for the 2 questions, only for the 2 questions. Maybe the committee can help me to show on the screen about the question for Mr. Azim or for Mr. Ghaffar or others. Okay, still for Prof. Abdul Ghaffar Ismail from Abdul Hakam. Prof. Ghaffar still here? Prof. Ghaffar still connect?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Maybe you can read on the screen what
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But sorry, if let's say in this case we want to have Islamic welfare state, I know that I know that this is very important for us whether we can consider our country as a welfare state or not. But if you look at the experience of several countries, let's say in Nordic country, because they are willing to pay higher tax. Because why? Because they want to get higher benefit. Okay, but here is to come up with a country that practice a certain degree of welfare, right? But in this case, I don't think so that we need to come up with this concept of Islamic welfare state, where the political priority should be given on the this aspect, especially on the zakat, wakaf, and sadaqah. By having this instrument to help the people, I don't think that it can be considered as one of the criteria to come up or to be known as a welfare state. But for me, the important thing is we have to understand that zakat is a mandatory, okay, and also others other than zakat, sadaqah, for example, wakaf is not mandatory, but we give them the opportunity to fulfill their intention or desire to help the others. How can we help the others? I mean, the people who have the desire to, or the desire to contribute compulsorily or to desire to help voluntarily. We have the channel that instrument for the benefit of others. So this is, for me, is very important. Of course, more important than that is at the initial stage or to the continuous process in the awareness program, because we are trying to get more and more resources that can help the people, whereas currently we rely heavily on the tax. We don't have enough tax, then the country will borrow through issuing sukuk or maybe through bonds. Okay, so this is another channel where a country can rely on these resources to help other peoples.
So is there, sorry, Professor, is there a specific question within that? Is that just a reflection?
Yeah. Pardon? Sorry, Brother Azim?
Sorry, I was just wanting to understand, is there a specific question in there, or is that more of a reflection?
This is a specific question for you.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't
Okay.
necessarily clear.
Prof. Ghaffar, for the answer, Prof. Ghaffar?
Yeah, done.
Okay, thank you very much. Now time for Mr. Azim, the question from Suhaimi Muhammad Sharif from IUM. The question is how to encourage people to participate in wakaf and infaq in the pandemic situation. Time is yours, Mr. Azim, to answer.
Okay, thank you. So in response to, I guess, both questions, in response firstly to the professor's question, and this is how I understood that, the question was more about how do we, in the absence of an Islamic welfare state, how do we encourage participation for things that are mandatory anyway? And I think all I would say to that is this is the fact that it is mandatory on the individual, but not mandatory in the legal framework, is actually a great opportunity for us to stay competitive and for us to look at. Often you find with zakat agencies, they believe they have the God-given right, so they don't make an effort from a customer service perspective, they don't make an effort from a marketing perspective, they don't make an effort from really trying to reach people and help them understand why zakat is mandatory. So I think this is a real positive that we should try to embrace. We should look at zakat payers as customers, and we should look at them as what are their services, what do they need to be able to do business with us. And this is sometimes quite alien, because especially in Muslim countries where you're used to just people giving it to you, increasingly people are not giving, because just like the masajid were built for people to pray, but increasingly they don't want to go anymore. Zakat agencies are increasingly facing the same problem that, yeah, we have the mandate and people should be giving to us, but they're no longer giving. So I think as we reframe the potential payers as actually potential customers, I think this can improve our ability to harness funds. And that kind of leads on to the answer to the second question, which was how to encourage people to participate in Waqf and Infaq in the pandemic situation. My own reflection on this is I attended a session with Professor Bambam at the beginning of COVID, and he made a wonderful reflection that what we see always through fitna and trial is that Muslimin generally we respond with our money. That we know there's a famous hadith that sadaqah delays or distances trial, and actually people often use giving in the cause of Allah to protect themselves from illness, disease, financial distress. So I personally think that the way to encourage people is to remind them of Allah and His Messenger, to remind them of Islam, to remind them of their actual mortality in all truth, and that actually life is very short. And we as Zakat agencies, Waqf providers, charitable institutions, we should not get lost in the means of our work, but we should remember the reason for our work, and that is only to please Allah and to follow the sunnah of His Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. So the way to encourage people is to remind them of their purpose. The world here that we are in is just a short time, and it's a short test. And as we know, وَمَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't create us and the jinn for anything except His worship. So actually, the closer we as agencies are to our purpose, we will find our marketing, our communications can be closer to helping people understand their purpose. And as people understand their purpose, Waqf and all kinds of giving become a lot easier. We are in the UK at the present time, and we are working with the Islamic Development Bank to look at how to deliver Waqf structures. And I'm working on with another team to launch, which we believe will be the world's first digital Waqf structure in January, inshallah. And we'll be happy to send out the details through WZF and with the mashallah, the esteemed team at Basnas for information. But we are now delivering what we hope will be the basis for the first time ever, rich and poor to now establish a digital Waqf. And we're eager to move into sovereign Muslim nations to be able to do the same. So I think it's about allowing people to feel closer to their purpose and us being more confident in what Islam has to offer to society. And then I think there's a virtuous circle that will start very soon, inshallah. And Allah knows best.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Azim, for the answer. I think this is the last question, okay. Last question from Muhammad Nafi. Muhammad Nafi from Religion Court of Kota Baru, South Borneo, is from Kalimantan Selatan. The question for Mr. Azim Kitwe, the question is, there is limited age to be amil in fiqh. Mr. Azim?
Okay.
Okay.
So number one is I'm not a mufti and I don't deal with the juristic positions of zakat. So I would recommend the esteemed brother Muhammad Nafi to engage a local jurist, a local scholar on this issue, because I think the geo circumstances in different countries are very different. So I don't know if this is affected by that. But like say in the UK where I'm based, typically we would say that somebody would need to be an adult, and legally an adult here is 16 to 18 years old. But I think this would differ in Muslim countries as well as specific countries what their legal system sees it as.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Azim. Before we close this session, maybe one question from me is okay, Mr. Azim?
Of course. Thank you.
Maybe you can explain the condition after pandemic condition in UK now, and then how many percentage Muslim community to count the zakat and wakaf for the welfare, for the social welfare for the Muslim community. Maybe
Okay.
Explain.
Okay, so number one is, and it's a very interesting question about how the UK has dealt with the pandemic. Maybe yourselves and others in Asia, in Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, etc., you would have noticed that the wealthiest nations have had the most difficult experience with COVID. And those with the biggest wealth, with the best healthcare situation, have had the worst outcomes on this. And I think this is something that we should all reflect on, that what is Allah's wisdom in this? What is the hikmah that we have unprecedented death? Like in the UK, over 50,000 people, they lost their lives to the pandemic. Every day, there's over 1,000 people contracting the virus. At the height of it, we had 300, 400, 500 people a day dying from the virus. Yet we see in the Muslim lands, or Muslim majority countries, mashallah, Allah's mercy has protected these nations in so many ways. So this is from Allah's wisdom, and He knows much better than us. But it's interesting to see that these countries have not fared well. In the UK, things have been very difficult. We live under lockdowns, curfews, etc. So it's not the best time. But in response to how has zakat, waqf, etc., experienced pandemic, it has boomed, in all truth. And it comes back to my earlier point that we've seen that Muslim communities, I think, fearing their mortality, fearing their death, fearing losing loved ones, they have given more than they ever gave. So I believe across the sector in the UK, for example, zakat income was up between 40 and 100% across most agencies, which is a phenomenal amount of increase this year. And I think that was purely because people were paying more than they ever did. And people that didn't used to pay were paying for the first time. And people that used to pay less were paying, the accurate amount. So this is our experience. Waqf, we don't really have. So we, like I said, I'm working with a team to launch the first Waqf platform here. But we don't have it until now in this country. We've only have a handful of private waqf, which have been for specific purpose. So you'll see, for example, the Oxford University, they have the Oxford Islamic Center. They have a waqf. You may have seen Cambridge Muslim College, they have a waqf. So up until now, there've been private waqf for private institutions. We are launching the first public platform at the beginning of the year, inshallah. So we are yet to see what the impact will be on waqf. But I'm saying generally, giving has been bigger than it's ever been, has been increased more than it's ever been, and communities have been more comfortable than ever to invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help through giving their money. And I think this is a reflection of even some of the marketing that a lot of the agencies used was, they were cognizant that people, all they could see around them was death and destruction. And they reminded people that this mal, this wealth that Allah has given them, He gave it to them. So for them to give it back is not a big deal, but also they should give it back because who knows how long they will be here. You may have seen images and videos of the way janazah was handled in the UK. It was very, very extreme, very extreme. People were not able to see their family as they died. People were buried in the most difficult circumstances. Janazah was done with people in hazmat suits praying in the mortuaries. It was very, very extreme. And people, the masses, the general population, it put fear of Allah in their hearts. And that's why many of them gave like they never gave before. So that's been our experience. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove this disease from all of us globally. And we ask Him to forgive us for whatever sins we were doing which brought this upon us.
Okay, Amin ya Rabbal Amin. That's a pray for you, Mr. Azim. Thank you very much. Actually, maybe I miss Oxford Street, miss Herod, and miss everything in UK. Maybe I will take Prof. Gafar too to go to the UK if the disease will go away soon.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Finally, we come to the end of the plenary session. Very interesting and informative presentation from all of the speakers. Once again, I like to thank you for the Professor Dr. Raditya Sukmana from University of Erlangga, Indonesia, to Professor Dr. Abdul Ghafar Ismail, Professor at USIM, Malaysia, Mr. Lawal Maildoki from Nigeria, and the last but not least, Mr. Azim Kitway from UK. Once again, thank you very much. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for everybody here. And then once again, thank you very much for all participants. And then times continue to the committee. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Eleonora for moderating the plenary session and to all the speakers for their time and insights. Before we continue, we would like to kindly ask for all speakers and participants to turn on their camera for the photo session. For the committee to give the...
Okay, I will count for 1 and 2. Okay, please be ready. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Once more. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Alhamdulillah, we have finally finished half of today's session with remarkable speakers who have brought various insights and a plethora of knowledge to the forum. But the exciting discussions don't stop here. We still have the parallel session to anticipate. Before the break, we would like to announce that the parallel session will be held in 4 separate rooms. The link will also be shared through the participant WhatsApp group. And here you can see on the screen is the link or the bit.ly link and also the QR codes to access the Zoom meeting rooms for the parallel session. We will now proceed to the Dhuhr and lunch break. We apologize for those participants who are now entering their time and kindly ask to please understand that there is a time difference between Jakarta and many other regions and countries, so we will hold the break accordingly to the time here in Jakarta. Due to the event mainly based here, the break will follow Jakarta time. We would also like to remind all participants to return to the Zoom meeting on time at exactly 1 p.m. at Jakarta time. The break will last for around 45 minutes, and please keep this in mind. We hope you all stay safe and healthy during the pandemic and can't wait to see you all after the break. I, Arwafila Ditya Sokta, the Master of Ceremony for today, deeply apologize for any mistakes in presenting this ceremony. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.